Close the doors of your mind from all carnal will, all carnal thought, all emotions, all desires, all fears, all laziness, all doubt. Anything in the center of your mind, in your cranial nerves, within your 12 million centers, within your hands and your feet that govern your organs, within the inner parts of your most sentient self. Bring your mind and your thoughts and your mind and your consciousness from the time you've been born until now, and everything that you've learned, and bring it into subjection to Yahushua Mashiach, under his feet, to Yahuwah Elohim, who sits in the highest Shamayim above all the Shamayims, above the Shabai Shamayims, above the 7 heavens, who sits above the 13th Shamayim, who sits higher and who is infinite. Yahuwah Elohim, with his son Yahushua, who helps govern all things and helps govern these Shamayims in the Rakia, in the cosmos, and the surface of the earth and the center of the earth. For today, we acknowledge the one who will sound the blast in the Taruah at the 7th trump. And everyone who have not prepared themselves will be stubborn, and those who he will catch off guard. For we look at ourselves, we look at our inward man, we look at our inward thoughts, and we look at our inward being. And we desire within ourselves to resonate the frequency, the highest of the highest self, Yahuwah Elohim, who created us in his image and his likeness, his Damus Salim, and gave us his knowledge and understanding in a speaking Ruach, and gave us his Neshama, his intellectual creativity within ourselves, that we may manifest his image and his likeness and his walk and his righteousness and his commandments continually in the earth. So this Yom, we acknowledge the one who made this Yom as we dawn towards. We acknowledge the one who made all of the heart of the earth, all the mountains, the 7 mountains, and all of the 12 rivers of living water in the 7 near, and the manure. The one who gave commandments to all, from Adam all the way to the Shalakim, the 12 branches and the feathers. The one who gives life and understanding to us within ourselves, both male and female, Zakar and Akabar, that we may place in our body the food that he provides for us, the Akla and the Akal that he provides. As we ride upon the wings of the wind, he feeds us with our knowledge. For that is our Binah Hakmah Da'af, our wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, that we may walk in his ways, that we may live according to his ways, that we may walk in purity of mind and purity of thought, and be fruitful and multiply and replenish the earth with righteous seed and righteous children in the earth. So as we move forward in kindness, ahab, joy, peace, patience, meekness, temperance, and munah, self-control, but we will in no wise clear the guilty, not within ourselves and for others. For that is just in the world. For it is just to judge oneself properly, and to put away all silver and gold, and let Yahuwah be your silver and gold. To put away all your barns and the things you store up, and let Yahuwah be the knowledge, and Binah Hakmah Da'af be the things you store up in your mind. Right, so this is, we're looking at a menorah. Right, we're looking at a menorah. Of course, we started with Pesach, which is what they would call Passover. I put that at number 1. Why is it to the left? It's for a reason. We did Kag Matzah, and then we did Bakur. We counted 49 days to get to 7 Shabbats to get to Kag Shabuah. And the 50th day we celebrated Kag Shabuah. That was the 4th. Right, so now we're on the 5th. It's Yom Taruah. Right, we ain't to the 7th Kag Muad yet. But as we descended from the left to the right, the sound gets louder and louder. As we descend from the left to the right, the sound gets louder and louder till it reaches the throne. And we look at ourselves as that person, as that being. So we look at every single one of these as a stepping stone. And as we transverse into the 4th portal, because that's what we're going into, because as the sun travels along the celestial plane, how you saying, we're moving towards now the shortest day, right, and the longest night. So as we move forward, keep these things in mind. So this is the 5th feast. I say the 5th one, right? So keep that in mind, right? So this is Nazarene Acts of the Shalakim, suggestions of the old serpent, right? It says, above all, therefore, you ought to understand the deception of the old serpent and his cunning suggestions, who deceives you as it were approved by prudence, right? That's his whole point. We said what? He did keep the commandments is a what? Deceivable. Don't keep it is a deceivable seed. And he that does keep it is a good seed. So we know that who Satan Satan all is working with. Right? He said, who you working with? They say, I'm working with you. He said, well, we working together. But then he said, okay, we not working with you. He said, I know, I'm not working with you. It says, and as his cunning suggestions who deceives you as by prudence, and as by sort of reasons creeps through your senses, deceiving you a great gain. That's the whole point. We got all these, we talked about in the recognitions of Clement, all these people seeking after all these hidden things of the earth, but they don't inquire of one thing, and that is righteousness. And that is the commandments. That is the Malkuth, the kingdom. Therefore he enunciates in your mind opinions of Elohim, of whatever kinds, only that your sins may be his comfort. That's the only thing. He don't want you to see your sin. He don't want you to see your kata, your kata'ah. He don't want you to see your sinna, your hatred within yourself. That's the whole point. Because he has a ball. He has a physical. He has a ball physically and non-physically. For his immorality was condemned from the beginning to eat dust. From the beginning, eat dust thou art, and dust thou shalt return. Because he made Adam and them eat something. So he was like, I'm gonna make you eat something. Even to the time when your being will be restored. So are we planning on the things being restored? Being brought through the fire, as we will instruct you more fully at another time. For from him proceeds all error and doubt. So all the errors within ourselves he said all error and doubt comes from him. By which you are driven from Amunah, faith, and belief in one Elohim Yahuwah. He said, driven from faith. He said, our faith, Amunah comes by hearing, and hearing by the words of Yahushua Mashiach. Driven by Amunah and belief in one Elohim Yahuwah. Right? All this is important. Right? So we look at it as the fifth feast, right? Carbs, right? This is Leviticus 23, 24 to 25. And Yahuwah spoke to Mashah, saying, speak to the people of Yasharal, saying, in the 7th month, that's the month we in right now, on the first day of the month, you shall observe the what? The solemn rest. This is what this is. A memorial Zikroon proclaimed with the blast, the Taruah of the trumpet, the blast of the trumpets. Those words with blast of the trumpet, that's Taruah, Taruah. Taruah, Taruah. If you look those words up, the words is Taruah, Taruah. A Kudash convocation. He wants you to do, he say, Taruah, Taruah. I want you to Taruah, Taruah. I want you to do it even more. And you shall do no ordinary work. That's Abadah. Because we know Abadah is that's no work at all. Malak, and he said, no ordinary work. We know that work is Malakah, because we talked about this before. Malakah means what? Behold your king. Your king revealed. He said, I don't need you doing no work. When the king walk in, here go the king. The Malakah is in here. And guess what? He said, y'all need to sit down somewhere. And you shall present a food offering to Yahuwah. That's the whole point. People saying, Yahuwah ain't hungry. I said, okay. We're hungry too. We're human beings. Of course, he don't eat the things we eat. But at the same time, he hungry too. And he want to eat too. He said, I want to eat just like you want to eat. I see y'all down there eating your vegan meals, eating your nice food down there, and I want to eat some food too. He said, okay. Right, so we go to Palestinian Aramaic Targums, section LI, Phoneus, right? That's in 31. And it says, and in the 7th month, it's the Palestinian Aramaic Targums. And in the 7th month, the month of Tishri, on the 1st of the month, that's what it says to here, but we know it's Shabba'i Kadash, but it says, it says a Kadash convocation, shall have a Kadash convocation, and you may not do any servile work. It shall be to you a day of sounding the trumpets, the Taruah. That by the voice of your trumpets, your Taruah, you may disturb Satan all. He said, we're going to disturb Satan, the man who artificer of all error and doubt, the one who enunciates in your mind all opinions about Elohim. He's saying we're going to disturb this person. He's like, we're going to disturb him in human beings. We're going to disturb him in animals. We're going to disturb him in the air. We're going to disturb him everywhere. That rhymes. Who cometh to accuse you? What he coming to accuse you of? Sin? Because his sin is his comfort. He's like, I love to have your sin, your comfort. I know you don't like to get your sin out, so therefore I'm coming to accuse you. You shall make a burnt offering to be received with favor before Yahuwah, a food offering. A food offering. Right? It should be a food offering, right? So that word for blast, and the blast of the trumpets is Taruah. Taruah. It means what? An alarm signal. We're gonna raise an alarm. Sound of the tempest. What is a tempest? The sound of a tempest. You ever seen a whirlwind? A hurricane? A hurricane? A hurricane spins in a circle with an eye in the middle of it. And guess what it says? It says a shout, a blast, a war, alarm. Shout for joy, right? This is the joy, right? You don't want Yahuwah to destroy us, like the book of Deuteronomy says. He says, because you ain't serving me with joy and gladness for the abundance of things that I gave you. So therefore, Yahuwah said, I rejoice over you to destroy you. You don't want that. Yahuwah like to see joy. Kindness, ahab, joy. That's one of the fruits of the Ruach. That's a fruit. People saying, what do Yahuwah want to eat? A food offering. The food offering is your fruits. Kindness, ahab, joy. He said, I want some joy. He says, Yahuwah's going to eat that. That's what he wants. It says, accumulation of joy, a battle cry, a rejoicing shout. That's what a Taruah is. It's a rejoicing shout for joy. It's opening the mouth. Like, we're not going to be like idol worshipers, can't hear, speak, talk, smell, can't speak, can't use our arms and our body. We're not going to be like idol worshipers. Why? Because these are all Satan on, right? Right, this Bereshith, Genesis chapter 1, 20 through 23. Right, because we're looking at this is the fifth feast. Right, so you look at the fifth day of creation. Right, when you look at all the feast days, right, of course it's the seventh month, you look at this is a day of rest, amazingly. But then you look at the fifth feast. This is the fifth feast that we're on right now. And Elohim said, let the waters swarm with swarms of living creatures. This all happened on the fifth day. We're in this month right now. We're in the fifth feast of the whole thing. And let the birds fly. Keep that in mind. Let the birds fly above the earth across the expanse of the Shamayim. So Elohim created the great sea creatures and every living creature that moves, with which every living creature that moves, with which the waters swarm, according to their kinds. So he's talking about all the sea creatures and all the birds too. And every winged kanaf bird, that word for winged is kanaf, bird, according to his kind, kanaf oath. And Elohim saw that it was good, and Elohim baraked them, saying, be fruitful. So he's telling these birds that fly with wings, kanaf, to be fruitful and multiply and fill the water to be, he says, and Elohim baraked them. So you see how Yahuwah baraks things? He baraks everybody. People saying, why he tell everybody to barak? To barak. We don't curse nobody, we barak. Why he say he do that? And Elohim baraked them, saying he baraked the animals. He baraked the birds that fly in the Shamayim. Be fruitful and multiply. Parah, rabah. And fill the waters in the seas, and let the birds multiply. Rabah. That's what you want to do. You want to multiply in your mind, in your thoughts, in your life. Rabah on the earth. And you want to do it here on earth, in the physical reality. And there was evening and there was morning, Kamishi Yun. It's the fifth day. We're in the fifth feast. And he's telling the birds, he said, let the birds fly. Let them multiply. The winged kanaf. He said, let them fly. Right? So that word for swarms is sharats. He said, let the waters swarm. That word is sharats. It means to swarm. To wriggle. This is to wriggle. To creep, to move. He said, let them swarm. It says, let them breed abundantly. He said, yeah, you ain't going to have intercourse. Let them breed abundantly. And bring forth abundantly. How else are you going to do it? The two got to become one to create. The two got to become one to create. In order for the earth to sprout forth anything in the earth, the seed had to become one with the earth. Same thing when you plant things in the garden. Same thing you plant things on your land. Same thing you plant things when Satan plants things in your heart. He try to plant things and he try to make it grow and increase abundantly in your heart. That's why we just come and just sound the Taruah to disturb him. Because he's like, man, he trying to take over your mind. He's like, huh? Man, he like Pinky on the brain. He's like, I'm trying to take over your mind. He said, what are you doing today? I'm thinking about how I'm going to take over your mind. That's how he is. And he a mouse. And we have a commandment against eating mouse. right? So you see all these things that take place, but you look at him, right? Look at this. It's Elohim, and it says, verse 20 says, and he said, let the birds fly. That word for fly is what? Oof. Oof, right? He said, let the birds fly. Oof. He said, why do I repeat things that one has acquired in the world, that one has seen? Because all these things came from television. And these are the things, these are the seeds that Satan sown in our mind to keep us down. All these things that he put in our heart and our mind, he's been sowing your whole life. So he said, I got to come and pluck them out. And get what it says? That word for a fly is oof. Oof. He said, what? He said, change your language. Oof. And it says what? To fly. To fly about. To fly. To fly to and fro. He's like, what? Fly to and fro. And that's what you do with a new anuf. You know, when you do a new anuf, when we do our wave offering, it says really to and fro. He said, how you going to fly? You ever see a bird when it flaps his wings? He gotta move it. He gotta move his arms. The female bird gotta move her arms. When she flaps her wings over her young, she gotta move her arms. She gotta fly. Fly to and fro. And guess what it also means? To shine forth. To shine forth. To shine forth. Fly. He said, that's how you fly. Yeah, he said shine forth. And also mean to swoop down. That's what birds do. They come up and they go back down. They swoop down. But they don't land on the ground. They swoop. Right? He said, let the birds fly. Right? He said, so Elohim created the great sea creatures. Right? This is what he did. That word for sea creatures is tanim. He did all this on the fifth day. This is the fifth feast. Dragons, serpents, sea monsters. These are all the sea creatures. Serpents, sea monsters. Right? Right? They got some creatures in this earth that you ain't never seen before. They go to Antarctica. It's somewhere buried underneath the ice. They got some creatures out here you ain't never seen before. Going some of the deepest parts of the ocean. They got some things they ain't never seen before. They don't even know what it is. Right? Sea serpents, right? Land monster, sea monster, sea dragons, right? All he said, let Elohim created the great sea creatures. The whales. That's what that word actually is in some translation. He created great whales. Right? He said he created great whales. He did. The beluga whale, the humpback whale, they call it the killer whale. Right? He created all those animals. This great white shark, the blue shark, right? The hammerhead shark. He created all that. The whale sharks. Right? So he did all of that. He said the great whales, right? All this is important. Right? This is Bereshit 1, 24 to 27. Elohim said, let the earth bring forth living creatures according to their kind. Livestock, creeping things, beasts of the earth according to their kind. And it was so. So we look at that whole day of the fifth day. And now look what he did. And Yahuwah Elohim saw that it was good. And Elohim said, let us make Adam. He said, let us make Adam. Why he want to do that? He said, let us atzah. Adam. That word for make is atzah, Adam, in our image and likeness, and let him have domain over the fish, the dagar of the sea, the oaf. What do you think? Oaf. Oof. They say why the birds call oaf. Oof. And you be like, why I gotta say like that? Oaf. Oof. They don't even make no like. What kind of language is that? They say oaf. Oof. But that's what he did. He said, let the birds oof. Let the oaf. Oof. Other Shamaim over the livestock, the Bahima, and over all the earth, and over every creeping thing or ramiz that creeps on the earth. And that's everything. He put Adam over that. He said, Atzah, Adam. Yahuwah Elohim, Yahuwah and the gods, the Elohim, the Malaki. He said, Yahuwah Elohim, he said, what? Let us make Adam. And over the earth. And get what it says, 27. So Yahuwah created Adam in his own image. In the image of Elohim, he created him. Male, Zakar, and Zakar means remember, and female, Nakabah. He created them. So you got to remember. What is this? This is a memorial of blowing the Taruah. Zikrum. We got to remember these things. Why? It's important. It's very important. Right? So this is the Bereshit 2, 18 to 25. Then Yahuwah Elohim said, it is not good that man should be alone. I will make him a helper fit for him. Now of the ground Yahuwah Elohim formed every beast of the field and every bird of the Shamayim and brought them to the Adam to see what he would call them. He said, why would Adam? Adam named animals. I want to see what you're going to call them. And whatever the man called every living creature, Adam called every living creature, that was his name. That's what people do today. He said, why don't you try it? You see how they gave you bird, and they gave you fly. Then you go, oof. Then name the bird again. Give it a bird a different name. Be like, your name is Sink. Or you can give it a different name. You ain't got to name the bird. You can give the bird another name. It's a blue jay. No, it's a violet jay. You can give it a whole new name. You ain't got to say the bird name what they gave you. You can change it if you want to. So Yahuwah Elohim, and get what it says. And the man gave names to all livestock and the birds and the Shamayim and every beast of the field. But Adam, there was not found a zar fit for him to help. A zar. So Yahuwah Elohim caused a deep sleep to fall upon Adam, from the Adam. And while he slept, he took one of his ribs, Selah, and closed up its place with its flesh. Because sometimes he gotta shut you off in order for you to get what you need. And it says right here, in the rib that Yahuwah, or the Selah, right? The Selah that Yahuwah Elohim had taken from man, he made into a Nisha and brought her to the Ish. Then the Ish said, this is at last a stem, or bone of my bone, and flesh, basar of my flesh. She shall be called Isha, because she was taken out of the Ish. Right? Because a woman in the beginning only knew one, and she was taken out of one. And guess what happens? And then what happened? Verse 24, therefore a man each shall leave his father and mother. And the woman should do that too. But people have a hard time doing that. And hold fast to his Isha, and they shall become a Kad Basar. Why? Why you gotta become a Kad? A bird has two wings, right? But in order for the bird to fly, one wing can't be over on the other side, and another wing can't be on the other side. They gotta be attached as one in order to fly. That's the only way the bird gonna fly. You're gonna be like, oof. It ain't gonna fly after that. You're gonna be like, oof, oof. I mean, let the bird fly. And the man, Adam, and his wife were both naked, and they were not ashamed, right? So you see Adam naming it. He said he took one of his ribs, his Selah. A word for rib is Selah. It means rib beam, hill, ridge, chambers and cells, right? This is all a part of you, who you are. So whoever one becomes one with, he said you become a part of their cell structure, right? And those cells lead, he says you become their cell structure. Whatever is in those cells, that's what you're gonna become. Rib, plank, right? People saying, why? He said, change your habits. People say, change your thoughts, right? Leaf, plank, rib, hillside. Selah is like a hillside. What do you find on the hillside? He said, Selah is like a hillside. He said, I gave Adam a Selah. Because the earth is like a female form. When you plant a seed, it sprouts up trees and things. It gives things food, just like a mother breastfeeds. It sprouts up grass that other animals can eat. It does all of that. It has the same functions as a woman. The earth itself. It does. Has rivers and streams, alkaline water. All these are a part of things that flow out. All these are a part of it. People saying, why he gonna turn? He said, well, he gonna turn the rivers red. What happens during a woman's menstrual cycle? All these are a part of a female, right? So this is. We look at all these things, right? So what do you see off in the distance right here? What do you see? You see something on top, on the hill, on the ridge. Rams. You see rams. What's on top of the hillside? Rams. So take yourself out of this mindset and say, okay, I'm gonna place myself on the hillside now. take my mind and put it on the hillside, on the ridge right now. Because this is the blowing of Taruah, the sounding of the shofar. This is the sounding of the Taruah. And he said, let the birds fly. And we know he got the actual goats, or he said the rams. Where they at? How you gonna get a ram horn? People saying, "How I gotta sound a ram horn." Okay, so how you gonna get a ram horn? Well, you gonna have to go climb. You gonna have to go down the hillside. You gotta get one of these. You gotta get one of these right here, and you gotta get one of the ram horn. And he said, "How you take it out?" I don't know. I can go buy from the store and get it from things. See, these are all things that people don't know. He said, "How I'm gonna blow the shofar?" Well, you gotta get you a ram horn. If you can't get it off Amazon and Google, if you can't have it shipped, right? All this is all part of it, right? He said these are rams. Right? We're not talking about the Los Angeles Rams. He said these are rams. And guess what? Look, that's how you gonna get it. So how look at all these things, right? And you look at how the ram horn shaped. He said all this on the Selah. All this on the Selah. He said, oh yeah, right? So this is the book of Yeshayahu 2:1-3. The word of Yeshayahu, the son of Ammuz, saw concerning Yehuda and Jerusalem. Yehuda and Jerusalem. It shall come to pass in the latter days that the mountain of the house of Yehuda shall be established as the highest of the mountains, the Har, and shall be lifted up above the hills, above the Selah. That's why when Yahushua was in the house with Martha and his sister, Yahushua was sitting and she was below him. And she came to him to do what? She sat at his feet to do what? And shall be lifted up above the hills, and all nations shall flow to it. To do what? To sit at his feet. To do what? And many people shall come and say, come, let us go up to the mountain of Yahuwah, to the house of Elohim of Yaakov, to his house. You ever have people come to your house that weren't invited? They just showed up. Well, that's just like this is. He said, let's go to his house. He got the knowledge that he may teach us his ways. Yaakov. Why did Yaakov have to teach us his ways? And that we may walk in his path. Why do the people of the world have to walk in his path? For out of Zion shall go forth the Torah, the law. That's why. And the word of Yahuwah from Jerusalem. He said the word of Yahuwah from Jerusalem. He said everybody was going to come and just show up. He's like, yeah, everybody's coming. But they said the house of Yaakov. So are you a part of Yaakov? Are you a part of Yaakov? Right, so that word for hills, it said lifted up above the hills. That word for hills is Gibah. Gibah. It means a hill stop, hill lot, a hill, a little hill. For a mountain. It's just another word, but it's just a smaller mountain. It's still a high mountain, but it's just smaller. And guess what? He said, it's going to be lifted up above the hills, above the Selah. Above the Selah, right? So, and he said, out of Saum shall go forth the Torah. Right? That word for Saum, that word for Zion is Saum. It means the parched place. That place is parched. It means it's very, very dry. But he said, he said, why would I go up to a house in the mountain with it's no water? No, it's very dry. Why? Because because the mountain, because the teaching, as rain and snow come down from Shamayim, so did the Barbie that goes out of his mouth, the teaching. It shall accomplish what he sent it to do. And it shall not come void. All that's a part of it. Right? So the word for, he said, for out of Saum shall go with the law, and the word of Yahuwah from Jerusalem. From Jerusalem. He said, the word of Yahuwah from Jerusalem. They're going to the house of Yaakov to get what? The teachings of peace. The teachings of shalom. That's what they're going to get. Like you saw the Selah, you saw the ridge, you saw the goats and get the ram's horn. He said, let the birds fly. Right? And let the sea creatures, all of them sprout up, the Ta'im. But he said, Jerusalem, right? And it says right here, what? The nation of Yehuda. That's the 12 tribes, one of the 12 tribes of Yasharal. The 12 tribes of Yaakov. the 12 tribes of Yasharal. He said they got the teachings of Shalom, the teachings of peace. Right, so book of Psalms 147, 12-20. Praise Yahuwah, O Jerusalem. Praise your Elohim, O Sion, for he strengthens the bars of your gates, and he baraks your children within you. Your children inside of the gates. He makes peace in your borders. Who does? Yahuwah makes peace, because we the teachings of peace in your borders. He fills you with the finest of wheat, give you the best food. He sends out his command to the earth, and his word, his debar, runs swiftly. He said, let us go up to the mountain of Yahuwah, to the house of Jacob. He will teach us and learn of his ways. For out of Sion shall go forth the Turah, and the word of Yahuwah from Jerusalem. He gives snow like wool and scatters frost like ashes. That's what we're going into. We're moving into early winter. That's what we're moving into. He hurls down crystals of ice like crumbs. That's the hailstorms and the tempest. That's what Taruah means. Taruah. Who can stand before his cold? Right, he said it's getting colder right now. Yeah, it says he sends out his word and melts them. That's what he does. He sends the bar. He makes his wind to blow and waters to flow. He declares his word to Jacob. Huh? He declares his word to Jacob, his statutes and rules to Yasharal. He has not dealt thus with any other nation. They know not his rules. Praise Yahuwah. Why? Because now he said all the people are going to go to the house of Jacob to learn the rules that they know. How do you know that? We talking about the house of Jacob, and there's a reason why, right? So that word for Jacob, that word for Jacob is Jacob. It's the 12 patriarchs, the tribes of Yasharal. They're gonna come to the 12 patriarchs of the tribe of Yasharal to learn from his ways. They're gonna come to the 12 tribes. The house, he said, the tribe of Yehuda, Matah Yehuda. All the way from Louis, all the way from Shamuan, Rahuban, Yatzakar, God. He coming all through the 12s. He says his name means heel catcher. But why? He said, I'm coming to the 12 tribes. The house of Jacob, are you a part of the 12 tribes? Both are male and female. Are y'all a part of the 12 tribes? Guess what he says? He said, I work for Yasharal, I work for the word of Yahuwah for rules. He sold his rules to Israel or Yisrael or Yasharal. It means what? His name means Elohim prevails. The gods prevail. The gods prevail. Because Yahusha said, is it not written in your Torah? I said you are gods, Elohim. And if I called you an Elohim, you cannot, John chapter 10, when the word of Yahuwah came, because he ain't dealt so with any other people, you can't change it. You are Elohims. You can't change it. Both male and female, right? So this book of Bamidbar, Numbers 10, 1-9. Yahuwah spoke to Moshe, saying, make 2 Shittim silver trumpets of hammered work. You shall make them, and you shall use them for the summoning of the congregation, the Aydah, for breaking the camp, for summoning the Aydah. And when both are blown, because these are 2 trumpets of silver, when they both are blown, all the congregation shall gather themselves to the entrance of the tent meeting, to the tent, when they both are blown together. When he made apple, both male and female, and he made them a car. When they bone together, you can't fly, a bird can't fly unless the wings fly together. To the tent meeting. But if they blow only one, then the chiefs, a Nasiah, the heads, the roster of the tribe of Yasharal shall gather themselves to you. So they ain't trying to fly yet. We ain't leaving yet. I'm just gonna blow one to let the Nasiah or the Nasi, the heads and the rosh of the tribes of Yasharal shall gather themselves. That's only when I'm blowing one. It says when you blow an alarm, when you blow an alarm, the camps that are on the east shall set out. They should go, take their journey. Right? These are different sounds. You got alarm, you got 2 trumpets sounding, you got an alarm sound, and then you have one sound. And when you blow an alarm Taruah a second time, so you got 1 Taruah. Right? That word for alarm is Taruah. The camps on the east will go out. And when you blow an alarm or a Taruah the second time, just like we have Taruah, that's what it means. The camp on the south side shall set out. An alarm is to be blown wherever you are to set out. But when the assembly is to gather together, you shall blow a long blast to Ka. A long to Ka, but you shall not sound an alarm when everybody need to be gathered together. And that's what both of the trumpets sounded. He said a long blast. And the sons of Aharon the priest shall blow the trumpets. They shall blow the Katasarah. The trumpets, shofar, shall be to you a perpetual statute throughout your generations. And when you go to war in your land against your adversaries who oppress you, you shall sound an alarm with the trumpets, the Katusarah, that you may be redeemed, be remembered. Huh? To be remembered. Oh, you mean Zikron? It's a memorial of blowing the trumpets. What was Adam's male? Zakar. It means to remember. You be remembered before Yahuwah, your Elohim, and you shall be saved from your enemies. Huh? You shall be saved from your enemies. Who your enemy? What are we doing right now? We disturbing Satan, Satan. He said, why we sounding the Taruah? To disturb Satan. We just doing to disturb Satan. He said, make 2. That word for congregation is Aydah. He said, he says, you shall make them of hammer work, and you shall use them to summoning the Aydah, the congregation, and for breaking the camp, the Aydah. And use what? A congregation. Aydah means a gathering. Right, so check this out. A gathering. A family. A crowd. A company. A multitude. He said, you gathering a multitude. How are you going to get people? He said, how are these people going to come to the house of your code? He said, because you're going to sound the Taruah. You're going to sound the shofar. You're going to sound the Taruah and the shofar. The Katusarah. And guess what it said? Swarm. What did we just read at that? In Bereshit, on the 5th day. Sharat. Swarm. They're going to swarm. Let all the sea creatures swarm. Let all of them swarm. And he said, and abundantly multiply. A multitude. Right, so he said, make 2 silver trumpets. That word for trumpets is katusarah. It means a trumpet. This is a clarion. This is a trumpet. Right, so a clarion is something shrill, narrow to war trumpet. It's a war trumpet. Right, you see some armies. You'll see people who have them with these conquerors who came, and they have these little trumpets that they blow before their army. You see them blowing them. They have them little horns they blow. 21 gun salute. They be doing all these things that you see. Right, all these are a part of their war tactics, their ways of how they do things and call people, and Morse code. And they do all these things, bro. This is the Morse code of Yasharal. This is the Morse code. This is how we communicate. Right? That's how we communicate. Right? So it said, make 2 silver trumpets, right? It means kasaf. It's silver money. It's silver. It says, make them of silver. The word for silver is kasef. Or kasaf, right? It means silver. It's a real silver. You ever had a trumpet with real silver? That's what exactly it is. It's real silver. Kasaf. He said 2 of them. Right? So that word, it says, and when both are blown, all the congregation shall gather themselves to you at the entrance of the tent meeting. Right? That word for it, when they both are blown, is takah. Because you're going to blow both of them, and they're going to give a sound. Sound vibrational frequency. It's going to give you a distinction of sound. to let everybody know. If it's a long blast, then everybody together. If it's one trumpet, then the chief's going to gather. If they blow an alarm, if they blow an alarm once, the Taruah, then one goes to the east goal, and another one Taruah goes, and then the south goes. So you got to understand sound vibrational frequency in order for that to happen. You got to understand the difference between a trumpet that's low frequency and a high frequency. If you don't understand these things, it's going to be difficult. It means give a blow, to be blown, to strike or clap hands, right? Even you clap your hands, but if you clap it hard, it's a different sound. But it's a different sound because if I clap low, it's like, yeah, whatever, that ain't nothing, right? You ever seen somebody sing or do something and they be like, if somebody, it was really good, you clap real hard. Why? Because it's a different sound. You're showing what is greater than the other just by doing that. The same thing when it comes to the Taruah, right? It says become a bondsman, a fast pitch, fasten, it says a pitch, right? You gotta understand pitch. That's why when people sing, you gotta understand pitch. When your vocal cords go, you gotta understand pitch, right? That's the whole point, right? So it says, verse 3 says that when both are blown, and it says all the congregation shall gather themselves to you at the entrance, or you say the entrance. That word for entrance is patak. It shall come together you at the entrance of the doorway, the entrance, the opening, right? You ever be at an appointment, like say you're at the DMV and they call your number, or they say, okay, first 10 people in, but then they'll have like a sound, or say like like somebody's calling a bunch of people and then you have to sound something off, and then everybody runs and get in the line to hurry up and get in. Right? It says they're at the door gate. Right? Remember when Yahushua said they had 10 virgins, 5 were wise and 5 were foolish. It says the opening of the door. What did the unwise say? Open to us. You know what it said? Open to us. It was just like, I don't know you. Right? So all this is important. It says that when both are blown, all the congregation shall gather themselves in the entrance of the tent meeting. Right? That word for tent is a hall, because we know that. But it means sacred tent. Nomad. They got nomad tents. You know what people saying? Nomad tents. A covering. Right? It's a covering. They should all gather at this covering, at this sacred tent. Right? The sacred tent, right? Getting to these terms, right? It says what? At the tent meeting, right? That word for meeting is muad. Right? That's what you had in the 4th day of creation. What? Times, days, seasons, months, muads, right? All these are a part of what? Appointed place, appointed time, meeting place. Sacred seasons. That's what we're in. Sacred. It's property, right? It's sacred. A festival, year, implicating an assembly, right? All that's a part of it. Right. So this is Joel 2:1-5. Blow the Taruah, the trumpet in Saon. Because where everybody going? He said, the word of Yahuwah going to come from Saon. Sound the alarm in Kudash Mountain. Let the inhabitants of the land tremble. Let them tremble. He said, that's how they're going to come. He said, how are they going to come to the mountain of Yahuwah, the teacher of that ways of your code? Because of that. For the day of Yahuwah is coming. That's why they're going to come. Because the day of Yahuwah is coming. It is near. Look at it. He said, well, we're looking at the sun go down right now in a day of darkness and gloom. A day of cloud and thick darkness, like blackness. There is spread upon the mountains a great and powerful people. We just talked about the Selah. He said the mountain of Yahuwah is going to be established at the top of the mountains and exalted above the hills. He said, upon the mountains are a great and powerful people. He said, I ain't no mountain person. And guess what? You ain't Yahuwah's people. That ain't me. Like, he said, there has never been before. Never will again after them the years of all generations. He said, ain't nobody going to be like these people. Fire devours before them, and behind them flames burn. He said, it's not my word like fire. He said, the sun come out like a bridegroom leaving his chamber. The land is like the garden of Aydah. Before them is green. Everything growing and bearing fruit. But behind them is desolate wilderness, because everything bad fruit. Ain't nothing, everything's evil fruit. It's evil trees. And nothing escapes them, because everything evil in the world. Men are bearing, the type of fruit that people are bearing on these trees are terrible. So therefore, they're evil, right? So he's like, it's going to be a desolate wilderness. Ain't nothing good. Their appearance is like the appearance of horses and like war horses. Like what? They run. You know, like war horses with the trumpets. A battle cry. Like the Taruah. As with the rumbling of chariots. Just like somebody going to war. They leap on the tops of mountains. Like the crackling of the flame of the fire devouring the stubble, like a powerful army drawn up for battle. So just like when you see forest fires come through and burn up a whole mountain, that's the same way Yahuwah, he's talking about. That's how I operate. The very same thing. Just like the mountains, he said they leap on top of mountains. Just like the rams that jump on top of mountains. Just like the goat, just like the sheep that run on top of mountains. They all run on top of mountains, right? So that word for blow is takah, the same word you saw when he was telling them to blow the Taruah for the sounding and gathering of the Aydah and the chiefs and the heads. Takah, it means to clap, to strike, to thrust, to clatter. Clap, slap hands together, to clang, to drive, right? All that's a part of it. All that's a part of it, right? So this is blowing the trumpets. It says, sound an alarm in Makadash Mountain. Let all the inhabitants of the land tremble, for the day of Yahuwah is coming. That word for trumpet is shofar. It means what? How you say ram's horn? You're going to need a horn, a ram's horn, and then only say la. Let me make you a Selah. Because you're going to need a Selah to put all of, you see all the animals you just named? Well, guess what? They're going to need somewhere to run at. And guess what happened? Incising, it says also incising. It also means a cornet, a horn, a blowing. He said, blow the shofar. Blow the shofar, right? He said, blow the shofar, the ram's horn. He said, what are you doing right now? We're going to say, blowing the ram's horn. Why? Shofar. Shufar. Right? Shen, Wu, Pa, and Raj. Right? Shan is 300, Wu is 6, Pa is 80, and Rosh is 200. Right? But we look at all these attributes, and we look at everything that's here, and we keep moving forward. Right? This is Yahusha, Joshua 6, 1 through 20. Now, Jericho was shut up inside and outside. So they shut up inside and outside. Because of the people of Yasharal, none went out. So they were all Yasharal on the outside and inside. And none of them came in. And Yahuwah said to Yahusha, Joshua, see, I have given Jericho into your hand, and with its king and mighty men of valor. You shall march around the city, all the men of war around the city once. So Yahuwah is giving a command. Yahuwah giving him what to say and what to speak. And you shall march around the city, and all the men of war around the city shall go for 6 days. They shall walk around for 6 days. How many months we got? 6 months. Before we got here. 7 priests shall bear, 7 kahani or priests shall bear 7 of Sheba, shufar, ram's horns. They got 7 ram's horns of rams. So that means they had to get 2, let's say they took off like 3, 2, 4, 6. They had to take about 4 or 5 ram horns, get 4 or 5 rams and take off their horns. He said, why did they have to do that? Because Yasharal, Adam, he put Adam authority and dominion over it. They always been a mountain people, a farming people, a people that dealt with animals, a people that handled creatures of the earth. We've always been that type of people. So therefore, man, let's learn your ways. He said, why they got 7 ram's horns before the ark? On the 7th day, you shall march around the city 7 times. He said, you got to march around 7 times in a circle. You got to go around the city 7 times, and the priest shall blow the trumpets of the shofar on the 7th time, on the 7th day. And get what happened? Where we at? The 7th feast? No, we're on the 5th feast, but it's the 7th month. And it's a Shabbat, right? And get what it says. And when they make a long blast with the ram's horn, we just talked about the long blast with the Qahalath. He said they're making a long blast with the ram's horn. When you hear or Shema, the sound of the trumpet, which means you got to hear the sound vibrational frequency. Then all the people shall ruah, shout with a great Taruah. They got a Taruah. They're going to shout with a great Taruah. Now you see why you can't be, he said, now you see why Yahushua was casting out mute demons. He said, why Yahushua casting out mute demons? Because he came to disturb Satan. He said, why you say, I'm coming? He said, I'm coming to disturb Satan. Because you're going to have to shout. You're going to have to get that. He said, I'm coming to disturb you. People said, because Satan, he says, sin is his comfort. Because Yahuwah gave a command of what you're supposed to do. He gave a command. Now he got to say, you're going to have to shout. Because obedience is better than sacrifice. People saying, what? Obedience is better than sacrifice. And the walls of the city will fall down flat. People saying, I want the kingdom. I want the Malkuth. He said, you're going to have to open your mouth. You're going to have to shake that demon off of you. And you're going to have to open your mouth. You're going to have to shout for joy. He said, that's how you're going to get in the Malkuth. And the people shall go up, every one straight before him. So Yahusha, the son of Nun, called the priests and said to them, take up the Ark of the Covenant and let the 7 Kohanim bear 7 Taruah ram's horn. He's repeating everything Yahuwah told him to do. And he called who? The chiefs. He called the priests. He said, man, y'all make sure y'all get them ram's horns. And said, before the Ark of Yahuwah. He said, make sure y'all get it. And he said to the people, go forward. He said, go forward and march around. He said, okay, get the Kohanim, get the ram's horn, and you march around the city and let the armed men pass before the Ark of Yahuwah. So you look at all that happen. And he has to do it. So that word for they shall bear 7 shibah, or trumpets, or shofar. That word for bear is nasa. We talking about nasa. So what do NASA do today? They fly. Isn't that what they do? They fly. They fly. And amazingly, this is the 5th feast, and he said what? Let the birds fly. Af-uf. And let them rabah. Let the birds fly. Nasa, he said to lift, to bear up, to carry, to take up, to lift, to bear. It means also, he says forgive. But that word is nasa. Yeah, nasa. To be lifted up, to be exalted. That's what happened. He said, let them bear up these 7 shebah. They're going to be lifted up. To be lifted up, to exalt, support, to lift up oneself. How when a bird flaps its wings, it got to lift itself up. So it can nasa, to be lifted up. They said, we have lift off at the spaceship. But he's talking about us. He's trying to fly. So he's talking about us. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. He's talking about us. He's talking about us. He said what? To carry, to take, to carry up. To carry what? To nasa, to bear up. To bear up what? It says, and when you shall make a long blast with the ram's horn, and when you hear the Shema, the sound of Taruah, then all the people shall ruah Taruah. That word for long is mashak. It means to draw, to drag, to draw, to bow, to sound, and to cheer. To cheer. Right? People go to a football game, a basketball game, they go to a track, they go to all these things and they cheer. You see how loud that Taruah be? People are like, man, that Taruah be loud. Boy, that Taruah, man, I can barely hear. Exactly. That's exactly what you're going to do. Shoot, basketball player hit a 3 from half court, everybody cheer. Yahuwah blow the Taruah. He walks around the city 7 times, they blow the Taruah, he's like, nah, nobody want to cheer. And then people are like, man, Yahuwah got a problem, man. He do. He got a real problem. People get in front of the television and lift their arms up, wave them in a new for when somebody score, and then they won't do it for Yahuwah when he say, I'm gonna blow the Taruah at the 7th time. When they blow the Taruah, I want you to get a ruah Taruah for me. And nobody won't do it. And people say, Yahuwah ain't got no problem. Yeah, he do. Well, he got a problem with a lot of people. he got a real problem. He got a problem. It says to cheer. It also means what? To draw out. Right? All this is all important. All this is all important. To be scattered along, to prolong. Right? The soccer team scored, everybody cheered. But when Yahuwah say, Taruah for me, hey, Zikro Taruah, you walk around the city, you remove a procession 7 times, and I sound my Taruah, nobody want to move. Right? So that word for, and when they make a long blast with the ram's horn, that word for, that same word is long blast, is mashak, mashak. It's the same word, just like Taruah, Taruah. Mashak, mashak. Taruah, Taruah. It means the same thing. Give a mashak, mashak. Right, keep that in mind. And it says, and he says to the people, go forward. I mean, he said, man, after I got the commandment, go forward, people. He said, march around. That word for march around is sabah. It means to what? To encircle. Isn't that what we just did? Moving along the 7 celestial circles. Like we haven't stopped. He said, when you get to here, it's circle again. Keep circling. Do it again. We just circled, bring around the 7 celestial circles. We're in the 4th portal. Fourth portal right now. Circuit, shout. It means what? Assemble, round. To encompass, round. Surrounded. Go around the circle. Go around the circle. He said, why? To march. He said, why? He said, but when I say, he said, but understand. Understand. Right? So he says, and he said, and when you hear the sound of the trumpet, then all the people shall ruah to ruah. So that word for sound is kol. He said, what do you mean kol? He said, are you going to hear my voice? When you hear the voice of the Taruah, the voice of the shofar, hear the voice of the shofar, it means to call out. That word for sound, when you hear the voice or the sound or the thunder, the thunderbolt, the thunder, you go to a thunderstorm, they make a sound, a vibration. Same thing with a Taruah. What does this Taruah mean? Tempest. Tempest is a hurricane. What's in a hurricane? Lightning, thunder. He said, when you hear the thunder, guess what? He said, when you hear the thunder of the shofar, when you hear the thunderbolt of the shofar, guess what he said? Then all the people shall rule to rule. Wow, you're acknowledging we the tempest. We the storm. We the hurricane. That's what you're acknowledging. Right, but it said right here, it said when they make a long blast, they shall rule to rule. That word for, they say the people shall rule with a great Taruah. That word for ruah is they shall shout, raise a sound cry, cry out, sound a signal, to shout, to cry out, to a sound, shout of triumph, a shout of joy. Right, that's the same thing. You go to a game, they be rocking back and forth. Amazing that they be sitting in the circle and they be going, oh, oh. Don't they do that? With the lights go out flickering and everything. Oh, don't they do that? He said, man, you gotta get excited like that. He said, when you start getting excited like that, who are those people? Right? And you start looking at this as an exact reflection, but you see how emulation takes place. He said, why are you trying to do that? Because I'm trying to provoke you to emulation. I'm trying to provoke you to jealousy. Because you ain't doing it like that. We ain't doing it like that. All these people, all Yahshua, we ain't doing it like that. He said, I'm trying to provoke you to jealousy because you're supposed to be doing it like that. That's supposed to be you. He said, raise a battle cry, sound an alarm, shout for joy. Shout. Joy. Cry aloud. Sound a cry, right? So this is the book. So that when it says give a ruah to ruah. So that's verse 5. That word for teruah is shout. The word for, it says ruah, give it loud, ruah to ruah. The same word that we saw when we talked about sounding a tempest. It's an alarm blast. Giving that teruah blast, that signal, that tempest. a blast for war. Right? They do that at these sporting events. They do sounds for war. Because it's war. That's what they say. Right? Blowing the trumpets. Blow the trumpets, right? Shoot, one of my teammates said, man, I'm a soldier. Right? They knew this stuff. Right? This is all a part of it. All these are a part of it. These are a part of the transformation of one's mind to the actual Torah. That's why he said they're going to come up to your code, house of your code, and they're going to teach us of their ways. Why? Because their ways are different from the world. Just like when the Hadassah, they said, we got a people in our providence, their laws are different from our laws. They different from us. They operate differently. Why? Well, this is Yeshayahu, or the book of Joshua, 8 through 16. Right, it's 1 through 20, but we're at 8 through 16. It says, and just as Yahusha had commanded the people, the 7 priests bearing the 7 trumpets of ram's horns, before Yahuwah went forward, blowing the trumpets with the ark of the covenant of Yahuwah following them. And the armed men were walking before the priests who were blowing the Taruah, the trumpets, right? They were walking through, doing exactly what Yahusha said. And the rear guard was walking after the ark. It says, while the trumpets blew continually, but Yahusha commanded the people that were, you shall not shout or make your voice heard. So he gave a commandment to the people. People saying, why did he say you got to keep the commandments? He said, Yahusha gave a commandment to the people to do what? You shall not shout or make your voice heard, neither any word go out of your mouth until the day I tell you to shout. He said, don't even do it until the day I tell you to do it. He said, what? Ain't nobody gonna tell me what to do. He said, Yahusha said, until I tell you to. Then you shall rule. He said, don't rule until I tell you to rule. Until I tell you to rule, that's when you do it. So he caused the ark of Yahuwah to encircle the city. Because these are all things Yahuwah told him to do. Once, he said, circle the city, going about it once. And they came into the camp and spent the night in the camp. Then Yahusha rose early in the morning. He rose early in the morning, and the priest took up the ark of Yahuwah. And the seven or Sheba Kahan, bearing the 7 shofar of the ram's horns, bear the ark of Yahuwah and walk on, and they blew the shofar continually. And the armed men were walking before them, and the rear guard was walking after the ark of Yahuwah, while the trumpets blew continually. And the second day they marched around the city once and returned into the camp. So they did this for 6 days. Just like we do Shabbat, 6 days you labor, 7th you rest. 6 months, 7th month, which we're in now. 6 months, 7th month, right? It says on the dawn, what it says, and then it says, on the 7th day, they rose early at the dawn of the day. What? You mean when the sun was rising? When the sun was rising. They rose early in the morning at the dawn of the day and marched around, or Sebab, the city, in the same manner 7 times. They went around it 7 times. They did 6 days, and then they marched around it 7 times in a row on the 7th day. And it was on that day that they marched around the city 7 times. And what they do that for? And at the 7th time, when the priest Kohanim had blown the trumpets shofar, Yahusha, because they didn't blow it until after they walked around the 7 times. He said, had blown the shofar, Yahusha said to the people, shout, Ruah to Ruah, for Yahuwah has given or Natan you the city. He's like, I've given it to you now. Because you obeyed what I said. And you did it exactly when I said do it. And if you do that, I'm gonna let you take the kingdom. I'm gonna give you the kingdom. I'm gonna give you the mount. I'm gonna give you the city. He said, if you do it, I told you to do it. And if you do it this way, he said, I'm gonna give you something, right? So that word for dawn, he says, and he rose early at the dawn. That word for dawn is Allah. He rose early at the dawn of the day. That word for dawn is Allah. To climb up. The ascent of what? He rose early at the ascent. The Allah of what? The Allah to ascend up, to climb up. The ascending up of something. The ascending up of the sun. He rose up at the ascending of the sun. The Allah. The sun was Allah on the horizon. It means what? To climb up, to be exalted, to lift up, right? To go up, to come up, over, to climb, to ascend, right? So it says on the seventh day they rose early at the dawn, or the Allah of the Shakar. It means that they rose at the early of the dawn, the Allah of the dawn, the actual ascension, the ascending of the sun in the morning time at daybreak, in the morning. In the morning. He said, they did this in the morning time. Yeah, what time you get up? He said, what time they came to the sepulchre when Yahushua was risen? It was risen from the grave. He said it was dawning toward the what? The first day of the week. They were up early. What happened? They said the virtual woman, her candle don't go out by night. He said she rises before the sun rises. He said, Allah Shakar. He said, how's you going to see it? He said, how's you going to get your deliverance? People saying, what do you mean? Right, and he says, and after that, he said, give a Ruah Taruah, and Yahushua said to the people, Ruah, and Yahuwah had given them the city. That word for city is ear. Ear. He has given them the ear, the excitement, the city and its towns. And guess what they were? They were excited. You know why? Because they did a Ruah, but it was a excitement. It was a joyful cry. It was a joyful cry. It was like they were joyful. He gave them the city and the town. He gave it to them. It was excitement. Ear. It was an excitement. He said, okay. Right, and it says, Bereshit, Genesis 26:5. And I will multiply your offspring as the stars of Shamaim, and I will give your offspring all these lands. And in your offspring shall all the nations of the earth be Barak. Because Abraham obeyed my call, my voice. What did he said when he gave a commandment? When he uttered his voice, he said, what did Yahushua do? He obeyed Yahuwah's voice. What did he do? He kept his charge. He gave him 7 priests gonna bear the shofar. You're gonna encompass it 1 time, but on the 7th time you're gonna come 7 times. And then you're going to shout, and you're going to have a Ruah Taruah. He obeyed his charge. He kept his commandments. He obeyed the statutes. He had the ram's horns for the calling in and the sending forward. He had all this stuff. He did it. And guess what happened? He obeyed his call, his voice. He obeyed his call, his thunderclap. His thunder. He obeyed the thunder. He obeyed the thunderclap. He said, I gotta obey the thunder. I gotta obey the actual thunderbolt. Yeah, he obeyed it. And he did it. And guess what happened? He goes, I'm gonna give it to you. And then he said, you did everything. We kept the commandments. Yahuwah has given us the kingdom. He given us the city. And people saying, why Yahuwah haven't given? He said, I want this, I want that. He said, only reason because he said, just do it like I said. And guess what you get? I'm gonna give you the city. I'm gonna give you that whole city. That whole city gonna be yours. He said, what? He that controls this Ruah is greater than the mighty. And he that, what? control his ruach. He said he's greater than him. He said even he who controls it, he said he's greater than he that take a city. When you can control yourself. When you can, I give a commandment not to speak or give a rule to rule until I say, okay, I got to control myself. He said, I don't even want to hear a voice out of your, a word out of your mouth. Oh, man. You walking around, your friend tap you on the shoulder, or your person next to you trying to talk to you. He's like, no, we can't talk. We can't talk. Oh, that's a part of it. And guess what happened? He said, if we do, we ain't going to get the city. Because we got a commandment. We can't do anything. Right? We got to understand the voice. Right? Because each voice was different. And everybody had a different command. 1 Corinthians 14, 7 through 12. If even lifeless instruments such as a flute, such as the flute or harp, do not give distinct sound, distinct notes. Right? So you look at lifeless instruments. How will anyone know what is played? Right? He said, how will anybody know what's played? Right? So if I play a G, then if I play a C, it's a different chord, because you got to know what's being played. Because if you don't know the distinct sounds, you're not going to understand the command, right? Because that's important to understand it. That's with nothing. It's with every instrument, even with a harp, a cello, a trumpet, a taruah, a shofar. All that's important. All that's the same type of sounds. You got to understand it. You got to understand it on that level. Verse 8 says, and if the bugle gives it indistinct sound, who will get ready for battle? A taruah, a katasarah, a shofar. Who will get ready for battle? He said, what are he talking about? He's talking about Taruah. He's talking about Zikron Taruah. So with yourselves, if you're with your tongue, you utter speech that is not intelligible. If people can't understand what you're saying, your notes and your vibrational frequency is off. I can't understand nothing you're saying. How will anybody know what it said? I'm a mumbler and a grumbler. I'm not gonna understand nothing you said. A mumble rapper. A mumble speaker. How will anyone know what it said? For you will be speaking in the air. That's all you're going to be doing. You're going to be talking in the air. Nobody going to understand you. There are doubtless many different languages in the world. Right? There are many different languages. Chinese, Moroccan, Spanish, Swiss German, Arabic, Swahili, Geese, Triginian. Right? There's many languages in the world. And none without meaning. Every one of these languages got meaning. They all got meaning. But if anyone does not know the meaning of the language, I will be a foreigner to the speaker, and the speaker a foreigner to me. ¿Cómo estás? I don't know what you just said. Muy bien, gracias. Mucho. I don't understand what you just said. Interesante. I don't know what you just said. Interessant. I don't know what you just said. Because I don't know, because I'm a foreigner. Oh, you must not be from around here. No, I'm not. Just because you don't know the language. Or the Lashon. So you must not be around Yasharah. I don't know Abri. Lashon. No, I don't know Hebrew. I don't know Abri. So therefore, you got to learn it. I just speak to you English. Verse 12 says, so with yourselves, since you are eager for a manifestation of the Ruach, strive to excel in the building up of the body, or Aydah. Why? Because the multitudes, the people. Why? Because everybody got to understand each other. Everybody got to understand each other. So if I have to speak English, then guess what? You got to speak that. But it says right here, that word for sound, it says, lest they give a distinct sound, a distinction of sound. That's what it says, yeah. A distinction of sound. An indistinct sound, that word for sound is figaros. Fi-on-gos. It means utterance, a musical note, a sound. Unless it gives a specific musical note or sound, that's G5353 in Greek. Unless it gives a distinct note or sound, nobody gonna understand it. People say, a man say, I love you. I love you. A woman says, he said, okay, the way you say it, going to be he said indistinct sound to say, okay, does this person really actually love me? Because I don't really understand that they actually do. Because the way you said it is different. So therefore, they're going to understand low clap, high clap. Nobody going to understand it. So you got to be able to, every time, if you do like this, like, yeah, whatever. And it's like, okay. Right? So you got the word for notes, it says, the word for it says, when such as the flute or harp do not give a distinct notes, that word for note is phone or phone. Distinct notes. You know these cell phone you got in your hand? Yeah, the flute or harp give it a distinct note. Yeah, this phone gives off some versional notes and frequencies. You put it close to your head, it'll give you some more vibrational frequencies. And guess what it means? It means a tone. You got a phone, you got a ringtone? It means a articulate, but still an artificial. You got artificial intelligence on your phone? An address. Don't you got an IP address? It says a saying. Can't you send text messages with sayings on it? On Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram? Can you not change the languages? A sound, a voice. Can you not do that? Can you not project the sound and hear a voice on your phone? He said, you are a phone name. He says, if a lifeless instrument such as a flute or harp does not give a distinct note, he said, you could be phone name with your phone. He said, oh, just blunt answer. Then you give a long note. It's like, oh, okay. He said, how will anybody know what is played? How is somebody going to understand it? I understand this ringtone is such and such. I know when that person calls. When I got my VPN on, I got this address on. Right? All that's important, right? All that's a part of it. You got to understand it. But Abraham, he said, Abraham obeyed my voice. Just like Yahushua, he said, I obeyed my voice. And he gave him the city. Just like he gave Abraham all. He said, I'm gonna give you a sack. I'm gonna give you all these lands. Right, this is Bimidbar, Numbers 17, 1 through 12. And Yahuwah spoke to Moshe, saying, speak to the people of Yasharal and get from them staffs, one for each father's house. So here's Yahuwah doing the same thing, his voice now speaking. For all the chiefs, according to their father's house, 12 staffs. Write each man's name on his staff, and write the sons of Aaron on the staff of Louis. So they had 12 staffs. For there shall be one staff for the head of each father's house. Then you shall deposit them in the tent of meeting before the testimony, where I will meet with you. And the staff of the man whom I choose shall sprout. He's like, the staff of the 12 I choose, that person gonna sprout. Thus I will make to cease from me the grumbling of the people of Yasharal. Because you know what grumbling does? That's like an indistinct sound that Yahuwah don't like. It's like an off-key note. Because Yahuwah can hear. He said the people of Yasharal, because everybody grumbling, like who gonna do this? Who gonna do that? Which they grumble against you. And Mashah, he said they do it against you. And they keep talking about you. Yahuwah like, Mashah, they talking about you. He said Mashah spoke to the people of Yasharal, and all their chiefs or Nasi gave him staffs, the chiefs. One for each chief, according to their father's house. These are heads of each father, because each tribe had a head over a whole tribe. 12 staffs of their father's houses. Because remember, he gave his statutes and judgments to your code. He has not dealt so with any other people. The 12 tribes. 12 staffs. And the staff of Aaron was among their staffs. And Mashah deposited the staff before Yahuwah in the tent of testimony. And on the next day, Mashah went into the tent of the testimony, and behold, the staff of Aharon in his house of Louis had sprouted and put forth buds, and produced blossoms and ripe almonds. Almonds. You ever ate almonds before? Look like something that's good. Anything that sprout, Yahuwah say gonna sprout. You know it's good for you. It's in verse 9 says, then Mashah brought out all the staffs from before the Yahuwah to all the people of Yasharal, and they looked. And each man looked at his staff. He's like, each one of the 12, they like, man, look at my staff. Let me look at my matah. And Yahuwah said to Mashah, put back the staff of Aharon before the testimony to be kept as a sign for the rebels. He's like, so everybody who else going to start grumbling and mumbling and doing all these things, here you go. Put that in there just so that people will know that you may make an end of the grumblings against me. That's the only reason they did it. Had they not been grumbling against Yahuwah, it would have just been 12 heads. That would have been the 12 priests. Everybody's grumbling about who's going to be priest. Who's going to be the people to do that? Who's going to be those people? He's like, okay, give me all the staffs. So all these people grumbling like who the Kahani. And get what he said. Thus did Mashah as Yahuwah commanded him, so he did. As a command. Isn't that what Abraham did? Abraham kept my commandments, my statutes. Isn't that what Yahusha did? He said, don't you even shout until I say rule. Until I tell you the rule. Don't you even make a sound. Verse 12 says, and the people of Yasharal said to Mashah, behold, we perish. We are undone. We are all undone. Everyone who comes near to the tabernacle of Yahuwah shall die. Are we all to perish? Isn't that what they said when they got the commandments? Same people. When he said, Mashah, you speak with us, lest we die. Isn't that what they said? Same people. They were grumbling during that time, and they were grumbling during this time. And he said, okay, I call some things to sprout. Right? So that word for sprout, he said, wherever staff gonna sprout, that word for it is parach. It's gonna parach. It's gonna bud. It's gonna sprout. It's gonna shoot. Right? You ever seen when you plant something in the ground, it shoots up? It's gonna bud. It's gonna blossom profusely. It's gonna flourish. It's gonna grow. He's like, man, that thing growing. It's budding. That thing parach. It's growing. It's growing, right? So that word for it, he said, gave him staffs. He said, all the chiefs or the Nasiya gave him staffs. That word for staffs is matah. It means tribe, half tribe. It means staff, rod, tribe. He said that's what their tribe means. He said that their staff is going to what? It's going to sprout up a scepter, a ruling scepter. So when you look at staff, right? That word for staff has 3 letters: Mem, Teet, and Ha. Mem is 40, Teet is 9, and Ha is 5. Which equals to what? 54, which equals to 9. Right, when you look at the alphabet and you look at the numbering systems. He said this matah, this staff, this tribe is gonna what? It's gonna sprout up. This tribe staff, matah, is sprouted up. He said this tribe staff is sprouted up. Yeah, it did. It parach. Matah parach. Right, so that word for sprouted, it says, on the next day, Mashah went to the tent of the testimony, and behold, the staff of the house of Aaron's house, Louis, had what? Sprouted. That word for sprouted is parach. Same word. It parach. It budded. It blossomed, it grew, it parach, it fly. It says, to what? To fly. And what's this, the 5th feast? What did we just say? Let the birds fly. Oof, off, oof. Let the birds fly. It says to make fly, to blossom. Sprang up. To bud, to sprout. To fly. Let the birds fly. Oh, he said. Right. It says to blossom profusely. as extending, what is that? Wings. Wings. To blossom. Wings. You got, well, your wings will sprout. He said, let them sprout. Right? So that word for, it says the house of Louis has sprouted and put forth buds. That word for buds is Parach. Parach. Guess what it did? It sprouted. Same word. Bloom, blossom, bud. Budded flowers. It budded. He said, bud. It budded. And right here it says it bud and produced. It said what? That word for produce is suits. It produced what? To blossom, to shine. It what? It shined, sparkled, to twinkle, to glance, to blossom, to flourish. It started to shine. It shined. It shined. Parach. Suits. It shined what? What did it shine? The word for ripe almonds, it produced. It said the word for ripe almonds is, it bore ripe almonds. It says almond trees. Almonds. It said it produced blossoms, and it bore ripe almonds. I don't know if you ate almonds, it has health benefits. All that stuff has health benefits. But they said, why would they use wings on that? He said, why would they use wings? That word for produce blossoms, I don't know how the word switch, but it says, that word says buds and it produced blossoms is what? Zizits. 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 It produced blossoms. The priesthood, Matar, I say Parach. It produced, it budded. Matar Parach. Suits. It produced a flower, a bloom, a feather. A feather? Where do you find feathers at? You find feathers on a bird. Let the birds fly. This is the fifth feast. Let the birds fly. Let them bear up. Let them bear the seven what? Let them bear the seven shofar. NASA. And who's supposed to do that? The Kahanim, the priest. Let them bear the Shabbat Shofar. Shabbat Shofar. And you get what they said? They blossom and they produce feather wings. It says glistening. That is burnished plate. Burnished plate. He said, I saw a man. He was with a linen or a bowed garment down to the ground. Man, his arms are like polished brass. Burnished. It says what? A bright color. And what it said? And it says wings. Zizits. He said zizits are like wings. He said they blossom zizits. What do you find? Where do you find wings at? He said, let the birds fly. And let them multiply. Matter of fact, let them rabah. Oof, off. Off, oof, right? Let them multiply. Let the birds fly. This is a golden eagle. Yeah, a golden eagle. This is found, when they say in North America, in American. This is the golden eagle. Amazingly, what you see here. What did it look like? Look like hair that men and women have. Certain men and women have, right? When you let it lock out. Also, some other races have that type of hair. Or anybody, if you let it get to that point. And guess what happens? This is the golden eagle. He said it says zizits, it's like wings. Let the birds fly. Let them multiply. Let them fly. This is the Indonesian crown eagle. He said, let the birds fly. He said, let the birds fly. He said, what type of eagle is that? You ever seen an eagle like that? That big before? With a wingspan like that? No. Because they only show you one eagle. It's an Indonesian crown eagle. Indonesian eagle. Or the Philippine eagle, I'm sorry. Philippine eagle. Philippines. He said, what you see right here? What you see right here? It look like some people's hair, I know. He said, let the birds fly. He said, they zzzs and put the what? And they had the feathers at the bottom. He said, what? It's just like the feather on the wing. He said, they matah, their staffs budded, parak, and it produced feathered wings. He said, why would Yahuwah be talking about an eagle? And he talking about the wings of a bird. Why would he be talking about that? With some zzzs, and we talk about this, the fifth feast. And he created birds. He said, let the birds fly. And matter of fact, let them rub by. He made a sea creature too that day. But why would he say this? Right? This the harpy eagle. This harpy eagle is found in, how you say, Andes Mountains, near the Amazon, near Cusco, Peru, Guatemala, El Salvador, over in the regions of Tulum, right? Over there in Cancun, right? Over in Ixtapa, Puerto Vallarta, Panama, Colombia, Cartagena, Brazil. He said, you ever seen an eagle? People say, what does it look like? Oh, look like some hair I know that people have. Look like some hair I know. He said, let the birds fly. Let the birds fly. He said, let the birds fly. He said, it look like some people I know. He said, yeah. I'm talking to y'all. He said, why are you talking to all these people? He said, why would Yahuwah be comparing? Look how big this eagle is. People saying, you just saw the crown Philippine eagle. People saying, look at them claws. We talked about the birds, they swoop down. The oath, they swoop down on the wings. That's what they do. Right, there's an African crown eagle. African crown beagle, it's from Africa, but they call Africa or Kush or Ethiopia, or we say the land that they call Akusan, or the other languages they have. Right, but all he said, this is the African crown eagle. He said, let the birds fly. How you say? Over there, he said, Rwanda, South Africa, Rwenzori, Kenya, Mombasa, Tanzania, Sudan, Senegal, Uganda. He said, let the birds fly. Let the birds fly. He said, what? Right, it's the bald eagle. You know why they call it a bald eagle? Because we just looked at all the other eagles. Didn't we? We looked at all the other eagles that had hair on it, didn't we? He said, this is why they call it the bald eagle, because they ain't got no hair. Like them other eagles. He said, why they call it, this the land of the bald eagle. You have the golden eagle in North America too, in the northern parts of Canada, but then you have the bald, this is the land of the bald eagle. And people say, why are they making you cut your hair bald? Because it symbolizes something. It symbolizes shame. The same way, when a man sins or a woman sins, he said, make you cut your hair bald to humble you. He said, why? To humble you down. Because he's like, I'm gonna put your lamp out. So why would he cut your hair? Because it's a symbol of shame. Isn't that a shame for a woman to cut hair? Doesn't not nature itself teach you that? We're just looking at nature. But he told us not to let the locks grow long, though. Neither make baldness on your head when you come minister before him. Why? Because it's important. Because only baldness is for, how you say, when people are outside. And get what he said? That's the bald eagle. And guess what? You find these in the same region. And matter of fact, they all eagles. So why would Yahuwah be talking about let the feathers, he said, zizits, blossom like wings? He said, why would he do that? Right, Deuteronomy 22:12, it says, you shall make tassels at the four corners of your garment with which you shall cover yourself. What portal are we in right now? The fourth portal. That word for tassels is gadil. It means what? A fringe wreath. Twisting threads. They say wear tassels. They say wear gadil. It says on the clothes, it's twisted threads. He said you put them at the four corners of your garment. At the four corners of your garment. Why? Just the same way he has four malachis sitting at the four corners of the earth. And we're in the fourth portal. And this is the fifth feast going towards the seventh feast. On the fifth day, let the birds fly. You get what it says? It's just like twisting threads at the four corners. Like what? Like fringe wreaths. Festins, right? But it also says just fringe. It says twisting threads. Like you twist threads together at the four corners of your garments. Right? You have a garment and you have what? Four corners in it. Like this garment has four corners on it. Right? You cut a split in between and you have four corners on your garments. And he said it's just like wings. Bamidbar Numbers 15:37 through 40. And it says, Yahuwah said to Mashah, speak to the people of Yasharal and tell them what? Make, or atzah, make what? Make atzah, where you see that word atzah at? When he made Adam. When he made Adam. And what did Adam have authority over? The off, the birds of the Shamayim. He said, make atzah, tassels, zizits on the four corners of their garments throughout their generations, and to put a cord of blue on the tassels of each corner. Huh? On each corner. I thought I was around on each corner. Hold on, let's see this. And it shall be a zizi, a tassel, for you to look at and remember the commandments of Yahuwah, to do them and not follow after your own heart and your own eyes, which you are inclined to whore after. What happened on why he gave this commandment? Because the man picked up sticks on the Shabbat. He didn't keep the commandments as one was told to, as like Yahusha did, Joshua, as Mashah, as Joshua, as Abraham did. They obeyed his voice. But you had some people who just hard-headed. They just hard-headed. Verse 40 says, so you shall remember to do all. You supposed to know where Abadah Malakah, the commandments, and be Kadash to your Elohim. He said, how you be Kadash? By doing all his commandments. I am Yahuwah, your Elohim, who brought you out of the land of Mizraim to be your Elohim. What mean brought you out of Mizraim? To be your Elohim. So why he making us wear zizis with like feathers? He said like zizits. Because zizits are like wings of a feather. I am Yahuwah, your Elohim. Right, that word for atzah. Bereshit 1:26. Then Elohim Yahuwah said, let us atzah, or make Adam in our image and the likeness. What do you think he's doing when he's telling people that he said make atzah, zizits on the four corners of the garments throughout the generations, and put a cord of blue on the tassel, on the zizits of each corner. Why would he tell you to do that? Because I'm trying to make you in my image and likeness. I'm trying to atzah you in my image and likeness, but you keep not listening to my commandments. Because that's what Adam was, listening to his commandments, until later on. He said, I'm trying to make you in my image, right? So he said, speak to the people of Yasharal and tell them to make the tassel, the same in that verse. That word for tassel is same thing, zizits. Same word. That the priests, when they blossomed, he said they produced zizits. They produce wings. It also means right here, it says what? A fringe, a lock, a forelock of your head. hair. He said, oh, why would he make you put a lock of hair inside your tassels and your zizis? Because when you sinned or you did something that was shameful, you had to cut your hair off. You had to cut your hair off. Cut your eyebrows. Cut your beard. And then he said, you know what I want you to do after you cut your eyebrows and cut your beard and cut your hair off? I want you to take some of that hair and I want you to put it at the four corners of your garments to let you remind you not to transgress my commandments, and put it at the four corners of your garments. And you can see, look at your lock of hair, and be like, man, last time I did that, I had to cut all my hair off. I look like a straight fool. So therefore, I'm going to make you put it at the four corners so you can look at it and be reminded why I told you to do it. That's why he said, why would he do that? Because that's in this verse, that's what happened. It says what? A fringe, a lock, a hair, a lock. You saw those birds we saw? They mean they had feathers. You see them locks they had? You see the bald eagle though? Yeah, that's the one they got at the borders of the garments with the hair in it. You gotta put that hair in there and see, just so you can remind yourself, hey man, I can't be doing that no more. Man, ain't no woman gonna want me with my hair cut off, and my eyebrows cut off, my beard cut off. Well, in Yasharal. But it says right here. But it says lock. A floral or wing, right? Just like the wings of a bird, right? Right. So the word for he said, tell them to make tassels at the corners of their garment. That word for corners is kanaf. Make them at the corners of their garment. That word is kanaf. It means what? Winged, border, corner. Wings. So you got four wings. We're in the fourth quarter. You got four Malachim saying at the four corners of the earth. He said, loose not the four Malachim at the corner to the Kadashima sealed in their forehead. It means what? Edge, extremity, pinnacle, a wing. Why you keep reminding us of wings? Wings. Winged. Wings. Feathers. Wing. Just like let the birds fly. It's the fifth feast. Let the birds fly. Kanaf Ruach. Let the birds fly. Off oof. And let them rabbah. Flying. Let them bear up matter of fact, let them bear up the seven shofar too. He said they're flying. Right? So he says they should make borders of their garments. That word for garments is, or they say the borders of their garments are kanaf baged, or it says treachery. Why? Because what happened what they just did? That's why they put baged, because they just committed treachery. That man would pick up sticks on the Shabbat. So therefore they were made treacherous. It was like treacherous, like you just went against what I said. And then they had to cut some of their hair and put it at the four corners of their garments, and they had to do all these other things. It says treachery, apparel, clothing. It means wardrobe. Wardrobe. He said, put it at the four corners of your wardrobe for your treachery. And people say, why are we here? He said, why they use the bald eagle? Even though the golden eagle is really the native, but nobody wants to talk about that either. But verse 38 says, verse 38, he probably brought that eagle over here. But he says, verse 38 says, right, and tell them to make tassels on the corners of their garments throughout the generations, right? That word for, and it says the generations, and to put a cord of blue. That word for cord is patil. It means a thread, a twisted. It means what? A bracelet, a lace, a line, a ribbon, a thread. A thread. He said, why would they put a blue ribbon, or he said a lace, he says what? A band, a bracelet. He's supposed to tie it down. He said a bracelet. a ribbon. It's just like going around, like a bracelet. But it says right here, it says he's going to make a cord of blue. That word for blue is Qahalath. Qahalath. It means violet. We say violet. 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 We say violetta. And it means what? Brilliant, red, deep, blue, violet, or violet, blue. He said, make a cord of blue, violet, purple. He said, blue. He said, why are you going to make a cord of blue? He's like, birds of a feather flock together. Birds of a feather flock together. And they say, he said, violet, violetta. Right? And it says right here, color. He said, why everybody? He said, make a cord of blue. He said, why would you do that? He said, why would you do all of that? He made everybody remind you of wings and eagles and everything like that. It's for a reason. While Shemuth, Exodus 19, 3-6. And while Mashah went up to Elohim Yahuwah called to him out of the mountain, saying, that we mountain people. That's where you're going to find your ram horn at. Where you going to find that? Thus you shall say to the house of Yaakov and tell the people of Yasharal, you yourselves have seen what I did to the Mizraim. You saw what I did to them. And how I bore you on what? On eagle's wings and brought you to myself. People said, why he talking about all these eagles? He said, let the birds fly. Oof. Let them rabah. That's why he talks about eagles. Why he's trying to remind you, I'm like an eagle. Why do you think he told Adam, Adam, Adam like an eagle? Why do you think he had him on the borders of the garments like wings? He said, you're like the eagles. You're just like the Narash. Now therefore, if you will indeed obey my voice, and keep my covenant, ye shall be my treasured possession among all peoples, for all the earth is mine. And ye shall be to me a kingdom of Kohanim. I thought it was Aaron. Well, they were mumbling about that. But then he said, before that, he said, you're going to be a kingdom of priests, all 12. And a Kodash nation. These are the words that you shall speak to the people of Yasharal. He said, why they make? He said, I'm going to remind you, I'm like an eagle. Put them wings on. I'm just like the eagle that brought you out of the land of Mizraim. Put them wings on. Remind you of the wings that brought you out of Mizraim. Let the birds fly. He said, I give you a sound of Taruah. Right? We almost finished. It says right here. It says, and ye shall be to me a kingdom. That word for kingdom is mamlakah. You're going to be a kingdom of what? Mamlakah. A mamlakah. A kingdom, a dominion, a reign of Kahan. A reign of king, a Kahanim, a priest. A kingdom, a sovereignty of priest. He said, the kingdom, Marku come not with observation. The Mark kingdom is within you. It's within you. A kingdom, a Kahanim, a priest. You mean a kingdom of priests? Sacrifice of praise offerings, food offering offerings, meditation, prayer, Haggah, Yom and night, morning, noon, and evening. Sacrifice. You talking about we're a kingdom of priests? Praises. That's what they do. Yeah, that's what we are. He said, if you obey my code, though, my voice, like Abraham and Yeshua did. If you obey my voice, keep my commandments, my statutes. He said, you'll be a Malkuth priest. Shemuth, Exodus 27, 1-2. You shall make an altar of acai wood, 5 cubits long and 5 cubits broad. The altar shall be a square. And its height shall be 3 cubits. And you shall make horns. Quran. The word for horns is Kuf Rash Nun. Quran. For it, on its Quran, its horns, shall be of one piece with it. And you shall overlay it with 4 corners of bronze. He said, put it at the four corners of your garments. Why he always talking? He said, put the wings at the four corners of your garments. Now I want you to make this altar, and I want you to put horns at the four corners of the altar. And it's supposed to be of bronze. Right? The word for four is arba. Right? Because if you don't know, he said, why is it not Rabbi? It's arba. It means four, because he's talking about the four corners of the earth. He said, arba. He said, make it at the four corners. The word for corners is pinah. Make it at the four corners of the pinnacle, of the chieftain, the bulwark, the angle. He said, put the horns, put them at the four corners. What do you mean? What are you putting at the four corners of each part of the altar? What is he putting at the four corners? He's putting the Quran, or he says the Quran, Kuf Rash Nun, Kuf, Quran, because the Rash is Rash, Quran. He said, they put Quran, right? It says what? Horns, strength. He said, put it, the strength, horn-like, as a musical instrument at the four corners. Unless the instrument give a distinct sound, how will you know what note was played? But he said, put it, a musical instrument, a horn, a ray of light. Isn't that what the tzitzit mean? To shine forth? At the four corners of the garments? To shine forth? It means also a horn. A flask of horn. Right? A flask. A cornet. An elephant's tooth. That is ivory. An elephant tooth. A horn. An elephant's tooth. It also means peak of a mountain, a ray of light. It shall come to pass that the mountain of Yahuwah shall be established on the top of the mountains and exalted above the hills, and all nations shall flow. Let us go up to the house of Jacob, and he will teach us of his ways. The peak, a ray of light. How many rays of light was in Yusuf's house when he entered the house? 12. How many gates? 3 to the north, 3 to the south, 3 to the east, and 3 to the west. 3, 6, 9, 12. And they started rays of light. And amazingly, he said it's like an elephant's tooth. An elephant's tooth. He said it's like an elephant's tooth. An elephant tooth. He said, how is an elephant tooth going to be a musical instrument? How is an elephant tooth? You going to put that at the four corners? Hey, this is a mammoth. They said, man, that's a fake animal. I said, okay. Then why they got the skeleton sitting right here? I said, the same way they cut down all them giant trees and cut down all these giant trees in the world and destroyed these forests and left these fossilized trees all over the world, the same way they killed all the animals and all the things here, and you got all these animals still buried in the ground, but people just destroyed and ate and took the ivory off of it, took the tusk off of it. Yeah, the same, he said, this animal didn't exist. This is all fake. No, it's not fake. The mammoth exists, just like the elephant. Just like we looked at eagles in different parts of the world. You had different eagles that look totally different from certain parts of the world. The same way the elephant of this side of the world looked different from the elephant on the other side of the world. Different type of elephant, same family, different type of people. Different type of elephant. Same elephant. No different, just a different part of the world, different eagles, different elephants. Same thing. But hey, when you only know one type of elephant, one type of eagle, they say your thought process and your consciousness is limited, and you're not on the level of Adam. He said, which means that one has a lot to learn. Right, so this is the elephant tusk. Right, this is the mammoth tusk right here. This is the mammoth tusk. 114 minutes. Right, this is the elephant tusk. Elephant tusk. Right, so this is the mammoth tusk. Right, you see how big the mammoth tusk is? He said, it's like put these Quran at the four corners of the actual altar. He said, we were mammoth tusk, we were mountain people, we were wilderness people, rams and horses and chariots, rams and sheep and goat and ox and elephants. Right, we dealt with that. Yasharal and Yehuda. That's who we are. That's what we are. Elephant tusk. Mammoth tusk. That's what we are. Just like the eagle, the harpy eagle, the golden eagle, the Philippine eagle, the golden eagle, the crown African eagle. All that's a part of us. He said that's a part of Adam. Let us make Adam in our own image, in our own likeness. Let him have authority of the efficiency, the God, the Ramiz, the Off, and the Behemoth. Right. So this is a ivory horn. Right, we talk about a shofar, we talk about a katasarah, we talk about two trumpets of silver, and matter of fact, we talk about a Taruah. But an ivory horn, right? You're talking about 12th century. According to, they say both Christian and Muslim account, the bodies of the biblical patriarchs at Hebron, the 12 tribes, the 12 patriarchs at Hebron were discovered beneath their monuments in June 1119. Since then, they have been ranked among the most celebrated relics of the Kudash land, right? That's what they say, it's the Kudash land. But this is a elephant tusk horn. An elephant tusk horn into a Taruah, into a blast, into a instrument. It says here, an elephant tusk has been used to hold relics of Abraham, Yitzhak, and Yaakov. With their relics of Abraham's wife, Sarah, remnants of they say the Last Supper. That's what they say. But they're just showing an ivory horn. It says the ivory tusk and the lion hunt depicted on the signal of the relic, right? That's what they say. But they say it was depicted on the actual inscription on it. An ivory horn. They say, what? An ivory horn. He said, put these elephant tusks at the four corners of this altar. Put that on the four corners of the altar. He said, why would he say that? Right, this is Psalms 132 and 12. For Yahuwah has chosen Bakar Zion. He hath desired it for his dwelling place. This is the resting place forever. Here I will dwell, for I have desired it. I will abundantly barak her provisions. I will satisfy her poor with bread. I will satisfy her poor with bread. Her priests, her kahan, I will clothe with what? With salvation, with yasha. And her kadashim, her saints, with joy, with shouts of joy. That's what Taruah is. I'm going to clothe you with it. I'm going to clothe you with salvation and shouts of joy. Verse 17, there I will make a horn, a Quran, a horn, an elephant tusk, to sprout samak for David, for Daid. I have prepared a lamp, a near, for my anointed, my Mashiach, for my Mashiach. But David was Mashiach. But he said, I'm going to prepare a lamp for my Mashiach. His enemies I will clothe with shame. What? His enemies I will clothe with shame. What was the shame for Yasharal? To cut all their hair off? But on him, his crown will shine. But on him, his crown will shine. What did you see all those eagles with? They wasn't bald-headed? You saw them all with hair on their head. And he said, what? But on him, his crown will shine. What does it shine forth? To glisten? Wasn't that what the word zitit mean? His zitit means to shine forth. It means to sprout. to have wings like feathers. You saw those hair on their head. It's like they have feathers on their head, on the eagle. And it said right here, there I will make a horn, or we know what Qahalath means. Qahalath means to sprout. That word for sprout is samat, to sprout, to spring up, to grow up, to sprout. It's going to sprout up. It's going to grow up again. It's going to spring out. It's going to grow. Huh? He said, I'm going to cause this elephant tusk to sprout up for David. It's going to what? It's going to bud. You know what happened to Aaron, Harun, and their staff, the Matah? It parach. It budded. It produced, or suits, zizuts. It produced zizis, wings. He said, I'm going to cause his horn, this kalin, this horn, this musical instrument, this tool, this elephant tusk to sprout. It's going to bud, just like the priesthood of Aaron. And guess what happens? The word for crown, guess what it says? His enemies I will clothe with shame, but on him his crown will shine. The word for crown is Nazar. Nazar, his hair is a woman's hair. It says crown, separation, consecration. What did the Nazar do when they separated? They let their hair and their locks grow long. He said his crown, his woman's hair, is going to what? He's going to separate. He's going to consecrate himself as a Nazar, and it's going to sprout. It's going to shine. He's going to grow unshorn locks. That means they ain't cutting their hair. Their hair going to grow long. He said their crown is going to shine. Woman's hair. People say, why should we talk? People don't know anything. He said their hair of separation. Huh? Hair of separation. When the Nazar separated, they let their locks grow long and they ain't drink no strong drink. Neither eat the grape at all. He said, why would he let his hair? He said his hair gonna sprout. He said, so what? He said his crown. Yo, crown. His hair, he's a Nazar. His crown will what? His crown will produce zoots. Same thing that you saw with the priesthood of Louis. It produced, or zoots, zizits. It's going to produce wings. It's going to blossom. It's going to sparkle. It says eyes sparkle. You ever see a woman that get her hair done, or her get her hair washed? It's like her whole vision just changes. Their eyes just change. Everything just changed. To twinkle. Everything just started to twinkle, glance. They started to look differently. People saying, why can't a house was had with women being there 6 months doing all that? Because he said, look, it's a separation to blossom, to flourish. He said his crown, his Nazar, zoots, he gonna flourish. His hair, his whole oil, his elephant tusk. You gonna have an elephant tusk that bud, and he gonna have long locks. He gonna have long locks. He gonna be put to. He said enemies gonna put to shame. They gonna have to cut their locks off. They gonna put it in the corners of their garments. They gonna put it in the corners of their garments. He said, not me. He said, Kalin suits. He said, my thing gonna bud. It's gonna semah. Right? So that word for it, he says, her priests he will clothe with salvation, and her saints he will shout for joy. Her saints, her Qasid. Her Qasid, her faithful and kind and faithful ones will shout for joy. Her kind people, the gracious people, merciful people, kind people gonna shout for joy. Godly ones, godly men, the gods. The gods. It's not saying you're Turah, you're Elohim. He said the gods. He said the gods. Right? He said This Psalms Tehillim 18:1-3. I love Yahuwah, my strength. Yahuwah is my rock and my fortress, my deliverer, my Elohim, my rock, in whom I take refuge. Huh? My shield. What? And the horn, the Quran of my salvation. Yasha, my stronghold, the elephant tusk of my salvation. He said, I'm gonna call that elephant tusk a bud, and his crown, his nazar, his hair is gonna shine forth. It's gonna be bright. He said it's gonna be bright. He said it's gonna shine forth. It's gonna soot. It's gonna produce. He said, he a horn of my salvation. Who are you talking about? Amazingly, what did the woman say in the Song of Solomon? He said, what make your beloved more greater than any other beloved? He said, man, his hair black like a raven. He said, his hair black like a raven. Let the birds fly. It's the fifth feast. He said, man, his hair black like a raven. He said, his crown gonna zoots. His nazar gonna zoots. It's gonna produce. Man, his hair black like, he smelled like the dew. And he like Adam. Verse 3 says, I call upon Yahuwah, whom is worthy to be praised, and I am saved from my enemies. Anyway, he said he gonna blow the Taruah for? They cut the surrounded so they can be saved by their enemies? Oh, matter of fact, he said, now you can rule Taruah. So now Yahuwah is giving you the city. He says, verse 4 says, the cords of death encompass me. The cords of death encompass me. The torrents of destruction assail me. The cords of Sheol entangled me. The snares of death comforted me. What do you mean? What are cords? They tie you up. Pain and suffering. Like we talked about the spirit of deceit in 4Q 257, the Dead Sea Scrolls. So the ways of sin is death, man. Satan to have a hold of you. That's why we used to come to disturb Satan, death and Sheol. Coming to disturb Satan by sounding the Taruah. That's what we're doing it for. In my distress, I called upon Yahuwah Elohim, and I cried for help. Taruah. Taruah. From his temple. He heard my voice, and my cry to him reaches his ears. He said his cry reaches his ears because you was like, man, you need some help. You need me to save you. You need me to save you? That's how you get, people saying, how you get Yahuwah to reach his ears? I need him to save me. Look at these people. These people crazy. But if you don't need nobody to save you, look at this situation I'm in. I can't get myself out of it. You see this thing I got? Ain't no way out in the world I can get out of this, Yahuwah. Only you can help me out of this. That's music to my ears. That's the vibration frequency that I will listen to. Because that's the only thing, I can't get myself out of it. Even if I tried my hardest, I wouldn't. It's only you, right? That song, Only You, right? Right, this is 84. And he said, I inquired what? I cried for help from his temple. His what? Or if a temple is haikal, it's a place, a temple, a native, a place, a temple, a palace. I cried from his palace, his capacity, his large, he says his temple, his palace. He said, I'm going to cause this elephant tusk to bud for David and Daoud and Yehuda. And he going to be a Nazar. And amazingly, he going to Nazar suits. He going to produce. His crown is going to shine. His crown. This 1 Samuel 16, 12-13. And he sent and brought him in. Now he was ruddy and had a beautiful eyes and was handsome. And Yahuwah said, and he looked good. Arise and anoint him, for this is he. Then Shemuel took the Quran, the horn of oil. He talks about a horn of oil. You can carry it. The elephant tusk. He had a horn. It could be an elephant tusk. It could be an ox tusk. It's just many different things, but he took a horn of oil and anointed him in the midst of his brothers. And the Ruach of Yahuwah rushed upon Daoud from that day forward. And Shemuel rose up and went to Ramah. He said, I went to Ramah. he was gone. He got horn of oil, right? This First Kings, Malachim 1, 36 through, or First Kings 1, 36 through 39. So the priest, and Nathan the Nabi, and Beniah the son of Yahuyadah, and the Kerethites and the Perizzites went down and had Shalom ride on the king's, David's mule, and brought him to Gihon. Then Zadok the priest took the Quran, the horn of oil, from the tent, and anointed Shalom. Then they blew the shofar. They blew the Taruah. They blew the what? They blew the shofar. And all the people said what after they blew the shofar? He said, man, you know what? Y'all can rule Taruah now. You know what you can do now? You can rule Taruah now, and guess what? Yahuwah giving you the city. And get what you need for a city. And the people said, long live the king, the Malakah, behold your king. Long live the Malak. He said, you Abadah Malakah, behold your king. He said, oh, behold your king, Shalom. What does Shalom mean? Behold peace. He said, the word of Yahuwah gonna come from where? The house of Yaakov, the 12 tribes. What is the teaching Jerusalem is? The teachings of peace. And all the people went up after him, playing what? They went up after him playing pipes and rejoicing with great joy. What do you mean Taruah? With a great Taruah. Behold peace. Long live the king. With a great Taruah. With shouts of joy. So the earth was what? Split by their noise. A great Taruah. The whole earth was split by their noise. A great shout. A great shout. And get what? He said, why you gotta do that? Because that's the point. He said you have to. Psalms Tahalim 92, 8 through 15. But you, Yahuwah, are the high on high forever. He on high forever. For behold your enemies, Yahuwah, for behold your enemies shall perish. He said, all my enemies shall be put to shame. He said, we're gonna shine the Qahalath, and they are all he said, you're gonna be delivered from your enemies. And all evildoers shall be scattered. Verse 10 says what? But you have exalted my horn, my Quran, like that of a wild ox. He's like, you horning me just like a wild ox. You ever seen an ox? We got the olive. And have poured over me fresh oil. My eyes have seen the downfall of my enemies. My ears have heard the doom of my evil assailants. The righteous flourish like, there we go. The righteous flourish like the palm tree and grow like the cedars of Lebanon. How a palm tree hair look? Oh, you mean like that harpy eagle? Oh, you mean like that crowned African eagle? Oh, you mean like that, it grow just like that Philippine eagle. It grow like the golden eagle. When the palm tree look just like that? He said the righteous flourish like the palm tree. Oh, you mean like it zizi or soots. It produces. And it said, and it grows like the cedars of Lebanon, just like a tree. They are planted in the house of Yahuwah, and they flourish in the courts of our Elohim. They flourish. They soots, they zizis, they parak. They parak in the courts of our Elohim. They still bear fruit in old age. Kindness, Ahab, joy, peace, patience, meekness, temperance, and moon of self-control. They bear fruit in old age. They are ever full of sap and green. Man, they bear trees. They stay like that 12 months in a year. To declare that Yahuwah is upright. He is my rock. There is no unrighteousness in him. He said there ain't no unrighteousness. All this is righteousness in him. That's why he said, my enemies going to be put to shame. But the crown, the Nazar, he gonna produce. His crown gonna shine. Because there ain't no unrighteousness in him. Because he ain't gonna be put to shame. You get unrighteousness, then guess what? Put that hair at the corners of your garments. Cut that hair off, put it in the corner of your garments. Remind yourself. not to do that again. Cut your hair off. People say, and now you see why people cut their hair, or women cut their hair or things. It's a form of humility. Right? It shows that. It's like, man, I did wrong. And that's a good thing. People say, why? That's a good thing. He said, why? Your hair can grow back like something, like the eagle. People say, why? Because you need to be renewed. You say, oh, I just want to stay like that. No, Yahuwah like, no, you need to be renewed. We got to be renewed. This is Luke Oriah 1, 5, 59 to 75. And on the 8th day, there came to circumcise a child. And they would have called him Zachariah after his father. But his mother answered, no, he shall be called Yahuwah. Right? So you got the name of their children. And they said to her, none of your relatives is called by this name. He's like, nobody in your family called by your name. Did anybody in your family got your name? Did anybody in my family got my name? So there must be something going on. And they made signs to his father inquiring what he wanted to be called. Because his father couldn't speak. So they were doing sign languages. He said, they had sign language? Yeah. They were doing signs to him. Right? They were doing sign language. And he asked for a writing tablet. And wrote his name Yahuwah. He wrote it down on a piece of paper. And they all wondered. And immediately his mouth was open and his tongue loose. And he spoke. And Barak Elohim. And the fear came on all their neighbors. And all these things were talked about through all his country of Yehuda. And all who heard them laid them up in their hearts. They heard the word after he done spoke. Because Malachi said he ain't going to speak. He said, make sure you don't utter a word. Don't you say anything until this time. That's the same thing he told Yahuwah. That's the same thing Yahushua told the people. Don't you even ruah or even have a sound come out of your voice until I tell you to. That's the same thing he told him in Taruah. And guess what happened after he opened his mouth? Man, he praised Yahuwah Elohim with a loud shout with joy. He was ruah Taruah. He sounded ruah Taruah. And all the people heard it. And they noised it abroad. They spread it out like, man, he talking. He praising you. He ruah Taruah. And all who heard them laid them up in their hearts, saying, what then will this child be? And that's why you got to look at it. He said, what in the world going on? What will this child be? Man, that he doing all of that. For the hand of Yahuwah was with him. And get what he said? That's what the people were saying. Man, the hand of Yahuwah with him because he obeyed the Malachi. That's the only reason the Malachi was with him. Why do you think Yahuwah told Abraham? Because Abraham obeyed my laws, statutes, my commandments. I'm going to be with you like I was with Abraham, you'd say. Why do you think Yahuwah with the child? Why do you think the people saying that? And then Yahuwah with him. Verse 67 says, and his father Zachariah was filled with the Kudash Ruach and prophesied, oh boy, saying, Barak be Yahuwah Elohim of Yasharal, that he's prophesying of things to come. He Nabu. Barak be the Elohim of Yasharal, who has visited and redeemed his people, and has raised up a Quran, a horn of salvation, a elephant tusk, an ox tusk, for us in the house of his servant David. And guess what? His Nazar, his crown of hair, his hair is going to produce. His set apart, his consecration is going to produce. His crown, his hair, his locks are going to produce. Verse 70 says, and as he spoke by the mouth of Kudash Nabi'im of old, that we should be saved from our enemies. Oh, he said, he sounded Kata Sarah. He said, my enemies are going to be put to shame. He said, we saved from our enemies and from the hand of those who hate us. Why do you think Yahushua said, it is written in your law, they hate me without a cause. They hate me for no reason. Because my Nazar was producing, my crown, my locks were producing, my hair was growing. it would produce it. And he raised up my horn. Let's see how he did it. To show mercy, show the mercy promised to our fathers and remember the Kudash covenant. The oath that he swore to our father Abraham to grant us that we, being delivered from the hand of our enemies, might serve him without fear, in Kudash and righteousness before him all his days. Without fear, because they were making it hard. Because they were putting fear all around you. Right, this is the book of Yuchanan, book of Yuchanan, I'll read it later, 44 through 50. And Yahusha cried out and said, whoever believes in me, believes not in me, but in him who sent me. And whoever who sees me, sees him who sent me. Right, so you start looking at when Yuchanan spoke. He said, whoever believes in me, believes in him who sent me. You get what he said? I have come into the world as a light, so that whosoever believes in me may not remain in darkness. He came in as light. He came in as light shining forth. His locks, his shining light within his crown is going to shine forth. That people won't be in darkness. Anyone who hears my word and does not keep them, I do not judge him. He said, I don't even judge you. He said, what to judge you? He said, what judges them? For I did not come to judge the world, but to save the world, because he came to be a Yasher. He said, I came to be a Yasher. And guess what happened? He says, the one who rejects me, he said, the one who rejects me and does not receive my words has a judge. The word that I have spoken will judge him on the last day. He said the words. Why? Because when Joshua told the people, he told the people, don't you even utter a word. He said, don't you even utter a word. He said, don't you even utter a word until I tell you to. He said, don't you even utter the word. And guess what it says? The word that I have spoken to you will judge you in the last days. For I have not spoken on my own authority. Did Abraham speak of his own authority? Did Yahusha speak of his own authority? Did Yakaziel speak on his own authority? Did Ezekiel, did Yeshayahu speak on his own authority? No. He said, ain't my own authority, ain't my own ruach. But the Father who sent me has himself given me a commandment, what I should say and what I should speak. He says, and I know that his commandment is eternal life. Yahuwah has given you the city. Ruah Taruah. He said, Ruah Taruah. Ruah Taruah. Right? This is Yuchanan 12. Yuchanan 12 and 50. And it says, and I know that his commandment is eternal life. What I say therefore, I say as the Father has told me. He said, I say as the Father has told me. He said, I say as the Father has told me. Right? So this is Yuchanan 2, 18 to 22. So the Yahudim said to him, what sign do you show us that you are doing these things? Yahusha answered them and said, destroy this temple, and in 3 days I will build it and raise it up. And when he said, I inquired of Yahuwah his temple, and he heard my cry. He said, Yahusha said, I'm going to destroy that temple. So what temple are you talking about? The Yahudim then said, it has taken 40 years to build this temple, and you will raise it up in 3 days? But he was talking about the temple of his body. He said, if you in me, and I in you, you inquiring in the temple, in my body, guess what happens? I'm going to hear your cry. I'm going to hear your cry. If you in me, and I in you, and you cry to me, I'm going to hear your cry. I'm going to hear your cry. Yuchanan 12, 27 to 32. Now is my soul troubled. What shall I say? Father, save me from this hour. But for this purpose I have come to this hour. Father, kabod your name. Then a voice came from Shamayim. A what? A coal, a thunder, a what? A thunderbolt, a thunderbolt came from Shamayim. I have kaboded, and I will kabod again, because that's Yahuwah's voice. The crowd that stood there said it had thunder. Others said a malach had spoken to him. He said a malaki. Yahusha said, this voice, this thunderbolt, this thunder has come for your sake, not mine. Now is the judgment of this world. What did he behold Satan as? I saw Satan like lightning coming down from Shamayim. He said, Ruah Taruah. He said, we come to disturb Satan. Now is the judgment of this world. Now will the ruler of this world be cast out. We come to disturb Satan. This Ruah Taruah. That's what this is for. The artificer of all iniquity, the one who can cast all error and doubt. I come to disturb Satan. And when I am lifted up from the earth, I will draw all people to myself. He said, lift it up. Bear the Nasa. Lift up the seven shofar, the seven priests. 7 Shabbat Kahanim. Lift up the 7. Bear up Nasa. He said, I'm going to raise up a horn of salvation. A Kalan Yasha. A horn of salvation. An elephant tusk. I'm going to raise you up just like an ox, an elephant tusk. A mammoth tusk. I'm going to raise you up. He said, I'm going to raise myself up just like that. And get what it says. Matthew 26, 6 through 9. Now when Yahushua was in Bethany at the house of Simon the leper, a woman came to him with an alabaster flask, a very expensive ointment, and she poured it on his head as he reclined at the table. She poured it on his head because he was an anointed priest. He was Mashah. He said that she opened the curtain and poured oil on his head. The flask of oil. And poured it on his head. And get what it says. And she poured it on his head as he reclined at the table. What was at the table? The altar. He said, you're going to make 4 horns at the corner of the altar. And it says, and when the disciples saw it, they were indignant, saying, why is this waste? Because he's raising up a horn of salvation. He said, what you pouring all this oil on his head for? And he says, for this could have been sold for a large sum and given to the poor. What feast do we give things to the poor who don't have nothing prepared? Taruah. That's what we do. He said, you do that on Taruah, on the first day of the 7th month. And guess what happened? He said, you should get that oil away. No, this oil is for you. I got to raise up a horn of salvation. I got to anoint him, Malach of the Yahudim. I got to anoint this handsome, ruddy man with locks so his crown can shine. How is his crown going to shine? You got to pour oil on top of your head for your crown to shine. When you pour oil on top of your head, your crown shines. What do you mean your locks? Your hair. Your hair shines when you have put oil on it. Why do you think Yahushua said, when you fast, make sure you anoint yourself, so it won't appear to others that you fasted. People saying, why he said, your crown gonna be shining. People ain't even thinking about you fasting. You'll be like, man, your crown is shining. And get what it says. But Yahushua, aware of this, said to them, why do you trouble the woman? What you bothering the woman for? For she has done a beautiful thing to me. Well, she making my crown shine. But you see the shine? Right? They show you coming to Mary, let your soul glow, right? Isn't that what they say? Let your soul glow or glisten. And you put that oil in his head, like, look at my crown. But she did a beautiful thing to me. You don't see my hair? I'm a Nazar. Matthew 27, 32 through 44. And when they went out, they found a man of Cyrene by name. They compelled this man to carry his cross, totality. And when they carried it to the place called Golgotha, which means a place of skulls, they offered him wine to drink mixed with gall. But when he tasted it, he would not drink it. Why? Because he had a Nazarite. Because the Nazarite can't drink wine. They can't even cut their hair. But they already done plucked out his hair. He's like, you did that. I ain't drinking no wine. I ain't purposely doing that. And when they had crucified him, they divided his garments. They what? Among them, casting lot, they divided his garments. They sat down and kept watch over him there. And over his head, they put the charge against him, which read, "This is Yahusha, the Malach of Yahudim." He David. He said, I'm going to raise up a horn to David, David, a Quran. And guess what? His crown going to flourish. It says, and then the two robbers who were crucified him, one on the right and one on the left, and those who passed by derided him, wagging their heads, mumbling and grumbling, and saying, they mumbling and grumbling. Wow, just like the people of Yahshua did, the Messiah, when he was looking for the bride of the 12 tribes, are going to bud. You who would destroy the temple and rebuild it in 3 days, in 3 days. Save yourself. The temple of his body. He got to rebuild that temple so you can inquire in it and you will hear your voice. If you are the son of Yahuwah, Elohim, come down from the cross. Why? You need him to come down. Why? Because he just raised up his horn. He just bared up the 7 shofars. They NASA. They need him to come down. They're like, you come down from the cross. Why do you think Satan's saying that? Why do you think he's disturbing Satan right here? He's disturbing Satan. This sucks it all. Who trying to get him to come down? He know his horn has been exalted. He know that he's bearing up the 7, the Shabbat, or the 7 shofar. He know that. That's why he need him to stop. So that's why he needs you to stop. So also the chief priests and the scribes and the elders mocked him, saying, he saved others, he cannot save himself. He is the Malach of Yahshua. Let him come down now from the cross, and we will believe in him. Why? Because with the word of Yahuwah, he said he gave his statute and judgment to your code, to the 12 tribes, to Yahshua. And guess what his name means? The Elohim will prevail. And guess what it says? And we will believe in him. Why he had to come down from the cross? Because he took up his wings and he flung in. He said, let the birds fly. This is the 5th feast. The 5th feast. He said, let the birds fly. Off. Oof. Let the birds fly and let them rabah. He trusts in Yahuwah Elohim. Let Yahuwah Elohim deliver him now if he desires him. For he said, I am the son of Yahuwah. And the robbers were crucified with him, reviled him in the same way. They're all mumbling and grumbling against him in the same way. He's like, Mashah, they talking about you. He said, but take these, get 12 rods, and whichever rod that bud, that's the one that's going to come. He said, ChayParach, whichever one, ChayParach, that's the one that's going to come for the priests. That's what he said. Right, so in Matthew 27:45 through 50. Now from the 6th hour there was darkness over the land until the 9th hour. What was Matah? What did Matah equal to? The tribe? The tribe equal to 9. What tribe Yahushua was from? Yehuda. Amazingly, he was a Nazarite. He had long locks. Matter of fact, his hair locks look just like them eagles. Matter of fact, that wasn't the rods that budded in the wilderness. And guess what it says? And about the 9th hour, Yahushua cried out with a loud voice, and Aliyah, my Elohim, why hast thou forsaken me? Taruah. He just sounded the Qahalath. Because the Qahalath would be sounded to deliver you from your enemies. Who was his enemies? The people down there on the cross. The people down there mumbling and grumbling. The people down there. He said, my enemies are going to be put to shame. Yasharal and Yehuda. Amazingly, where we at? On the place of the bald eagle. Which I think they brought that eagle over. But he said, let the birds fly. Right? But it says right here. And then some of the bystanders hearing it said, this man calleth for Yahoo. And one of them ran, he called it for who? A Malaki. And one of them ran and took a sponge and filled it with sour wine and put a reed and gave it to him to drink. Because he was riding on the wings of the wind. He would kanaf ruach, his blossoms, his zizits, his wings. He was flying to fly. He was flying. Why didn't they have to put the wine up there to the flying man? But others said, wait, let's see whether Yahweh will come and save him. And Yahushua cried out again with a loud voice and yelled the Ruach. He cried out twice. Because you know why he cried the first time? The first time you got to bring in the east. The second time you cried alarm, you bring in the south side. And when you cry out one time, you bring in all the chiefs. Matter of fact, when you sound both of them at the same time, guess what happens? All the people shall gather. And then when they march around the city, they march around 7 times on the 7th day. They march around 7 times. Then he said, now you can give a rule to rule. Because the first time he said, don't you even utter a word. Don't you say anything until I tell you to. And amazingly, when they were accusing Yahushua, they told him, say, you don't hear all these things they say about you? And he answered them, not a word. And why would he do that? Because he was obeying the commandments. He was obeying it. And then when they said, I adjure you by the name of Yahushua, tell us who you are. And then he had to speak. So the name of Yahuwah, speak. And that's the reason why he had to speak. He said, you're going to see me coming what? In the clouds. With great power. He said, with my malaki. You're going to see me coming. How you going to come? Right, so that way when he said loud blast, he did it twice. Mashak. Remember, long blast? He gave a long blast. Mashak. When they give a long blast, Mashak. You said Ruah, Taruah. Why do you think he Ruah, Taruah right here? Yahushua kept feast of Taruah. Called Taruah. You know why he kept it? Because he showed his statutes and judgments to Yasharal. He ain't dealt so with any other nation. That's why Yahushua kept, that's why the Mashiach, the Savior, Yasha, kept Taruah. Because he ain't showed it to no other people. This Taruah, he said, remember they blowing the trumpets. It means Taruah. He cried out twice. And NASA, when they was on to bear up 7 trumpets. He said, why he cried out? Why he bore out 7 trumpets? They walked around it 7 times. What happens on the 7th day? It's a rest day. And get what he did? He sounded the Taruah. Ruah. He said, Yahuwah is giving you the city. It's Luke Oriyah 24:5-8. And as they were frightened, they bowed their faces to the ground. And the men said to them, why do you seek the living among the dead? He is not here, but he is risen. Remember, Matthias is 9, right? It says, remember how he told you while he was in Galilee, that the Son must be delivered into enemy sinful men and be crucified and on the 3rd day rise. And he remembered his words. They were what? They remembered his words. Zikron Taruah. Because what happened on the 3rd day? Everything everything blossomed on the 3rd day of creation. You saw what happened in the 9th hour. He said in the morning time. What did he say in the morning time? He's going to say, we're going to see who Rod budded. Who Rod budded? Who Rod budded in the morning time? Early in the morning, at the dawning. When did Joshua get up in the morning? Get up when they went to go and blow the Taruah? At the dawning of the day. This is Hosea 6, 1 through 3. Come, let us return to Yahuwah, for he has torn us. That's why they tore his garments and divided them. And that he may heal us. And he has struck us down that he may bind us up. He struck us down. He made us in shame. And he may bind us up. After 2 days, he revived us. What do you mean after 2 days? After 2 trumpet sounds. Taruah sounds. Taruah. And on the 3rd day, he will raise us up. ChayParach. He's going to raise us up. ChayParach. I'm going to call it to bud. ChayParach. And he will raise us up that we may live before him. We won't be in his presence, in righteousness. Because there's no unrighteousness in him. Let us therefore press on to know Yahuwah, for his going out is as the what? As the dawn. He's just like the sun. Just like when Joshua rose early in the morning and they went to go sound the Taruah. And they went to sound the Taruah to do what? He said, Yahuwah is giving you the city. And amazing, after Yahushua rose, he said the people appeared in the city too. Yahuwah is giving you the city. He will come to us as the showers, as the spring rains that water the earth. Right, so you can sprout forward. This is Midbar, Numbers, remember Numbers chapter 10, verse 7. Remember that? But when the assembly or Qahalath is gathered together, you shall blow a long blast to Ka, and you shall not sound an alarm. Why you got to blow a long blast? To gather in all the people. To gather in all the people. Why you gave a long blast? Mashak. Why do you think he gave a long blast? It was to gather us in. He said 2 days, 2 days, he what? In 3 days, he's going to revive us. And he's going to gather us together to be with him. He's going to gather us together to be with him. Because he don't need us to take our journey. He's like, you're going to be with me. What you need to take your journey for? This is Sirach 19:10. The fear of Yahuwah is in all wisdom, and in all wisdom the performance of the Torah. Think not I've come to destroy the Torah or the law. I'm not come to destroy, but to fulfill. Ruah to Ruah, Mashak, Taruah to Ruah. Kain. He said, Nasa, Sheba, Shufar. It says, in knowledge of his omnipotency, his everlasting, unlimited power. Psalms 41 through 8. I waited patiently for Yahuwah. Huh? What's going to happen when you wait for Yahuwah? And he inclined unto me and heard my cry. He what? Where you going to hear his cry? Inside of him, in his temple. For in 1 day I'm going to tear it down, in 3 days I'm going to build it back. He brought me up also out of the horrible pit. In 3 days, the 3rd day, he's going to raise us up. And out of the miry clay, he set me upon my feet, and we're going to sprout. We're going to dash. We're going to ChayParach. What comes out of the clay? A bud, a sprout, a flower. And he established my goings. He had put a new song in my mouth, even a praise unto Yahuwah. Many shall see it and fear and shall trust in Yahuwah. They're going to fear. How would they fear a song? Ruah to Ruah, a song of joy, of shouts, of praise. Everybody in all Jerusalem feared when Zechariah started to speak. When he gave Ruah to Ruah, they're like, man, everybody talking about it. And guess what happened? That's what you're supposed to do. Well, how do you think all these people are going to fear you? How do you think when he said, it's just like stubble. He said when they cried out, when Shalom was anointed, he said the whole earth shook. He said the whole earth shook. You know what it said? Barak is the man that maketh Yahuwah his trust. And respecteth not the proud. You know, those who won't do this. He said, I don't want to do it. Nor such as turn aside to lies. Who's the father of all lies? Satan. That's why we come to disturb Satan. That's what we're here for. Zikron Taruah. Let's disturb Satan. Let's cry with shouts of joy. Let's shout for joy. Verse 5 says, many Yahuwah Ma'alahim are the wonderful works which thou hast done, and the thoughts which are to usward. They cannot be reckoned up in order unto thee. If I would declare and speak of them, they are more than can be numbered What's more that can be numbered? Your hairs of your head. The hairs of your head. You know what Yahushua said? He said, more than your hair. He said, can you number the hairs of your head? Because he said, your hair gonna flourish. Your crown, your Nazar, your consecration gonna flourish. It's gonna suit. Verse 6 says, sacrifice and offerings thou didst not desire. My ears thou hast opened. Burnt offerings and sin offerings has not required. Thou hast not required. Then I said, lo, I come in the volume of the book. It is written of me, let the birds fly. Taruah. It is written of me, I delight to do thy will, my Elohim. Yea, thy Turah is within my heart. And when they heard the sounds of Turah, after they walked around 7 times, he said, Ruah, for Yahuwah has given you the city. He said, I delight to do that. Right, this is Psalms 98, 1 through 9. Oh, sing to Yahuwah a new song, for he has done marvelous things. His what? His right hand, and he who does arm, has worked my salvation. His right hand. He holds the 7 stars on his right hand. But you mean he who holds the 7 Taruahs in his right hand, or shofar? And Yahuwah has made known his salvation, and he has revealed his righteousness in the sight of the nations, and it'll be our righteousness if we keep his commandments. And the first day of the 7th month is Zikron Taruah. Verse 3 says, he had remembered his steadfast love and faithfulness in the house of Yasharah. He showed his statutes, he showed his rules and statutes, he gave his word to Jacob and his rules to Yasharah. All the ends of the earth have seen the salvation of our Elohim. Make a joyful noise to Yahuwah. Make a Taruah sound. All the earth, break forth, all of the earth, break forth in the joyous song and sing praises. Crack the earth, shake the earth. That's literally what he's saying. Sing praises to Yahuwah with the lyre, with the 10 string, with the lyre and the sound of the melody, with the trumpets, with the Taruah, with your shouts, and sound the shofar. Make a joyful noise before the king of Yahuwah. And what happened when they made a joyful noise when Shalom was anointed? The behold peace. What happened? The earth shook. Verse 7 says what? Let the seas roar and all that fills it, and the world, those who dwell in it. What did he say? Let the seas roar. He said, loosen out the 4 winds of the 4 corners of the earth. To the Kadashim are sealed in their forehead. Verse 8 says, let the rivers clap their hands. Let all the people clap their hands. They're going to flow to Jerusalem. They're going to teach us of his ways. And let the hills sing for joy, just like a Selah. He said, you're going to be exalted above the hills. Why would the hills and the rivers sing for joy? They're going to flow up to Jerusalem just like a river. And they're going to be on the hills. And who's going to be above them while they're on the hills? Yahushua Mashiach. And they're going to be at his feet. Because he's teaching. He said, who teaching right now? Verse 9 says, he said, he said, Amuna come by hearing, and hearing by the word of Mashiach. Verse 9 says, before Yahuwah, for he comes to judge the earth. The day of Yahuwah is coming. He said, I'm not going to condemn you. The words that I spoke will condemn you. He will judge the world with righteousness. He will judge the world with righteousness. He will judge the world with righteousness. Why? Because it is our righteousness to keep his commandments. And his commandments are not grievous. So shouting for joy at the 7th trumpet in the morning time shouldn't be grievous. Making a loud shout and singing songs of joy and creating songs shouldn't be grievous. Doing distinction of sound and making noise and shouts shouldn't be grievous. Hearing the bar shouldn't be grievous. He said it shouldn't be grievous to people. And the people, it says, and the people with equity. He said, people with equity. He said, those who produce, right? Right, so that verse said, with trumpets sound the shofar. The word for trumpets is katasarah. With the katasarah sound the shofar, make a joyful noise before the king. The katasarah, why? Because you be saved from your enemies. A trumpet, a taruah. He said, with 2 trumpets of silver. Man, Man, use all your brain, both sides of your brain, and make your mind, and make a what? Qahalath, please. He said what? And for the sound of shofar, give a loud shout out of your voice, or your mouth, and make a joyful noise before the King, the Malak, Yahuwah. Right, this is Psalms 83, 13 through 18. Oh, my Elohim, make them like the rolling dust. What does Taruah mean? A tempest. The sound of a tempest. Like the chaff before the wind. As fire consumes the forest, and he said it's going to happen, go to Taruah in Psalm. He said it's like a Garden of Eden before them, but destruction behind. A fire consumes the forest, and the flames set the mountains ablaze. So may you pursue with your tempest, your Taruah, and terrify them with your hurricane, your Sufa. He said, so he terrifying you with your hurricane. He said his right hand has brought salvation. Didn't he say that? He said his right hand did that. What happened when a woman lifted up her hand? Her right hand. What came out of the lake? That they may seek your name, Yahuwah. Let them be put to shame. All my enemies gonna put to shame. He said, I'm gonna cause the horn, the Karen, in David, David, to bud, to semak. And he said, all my enemies gonna put to shame, but my Nazar, my hair, my crown, my locks shall produce. And it says, and dismay forever. Let them perish in disgrace. How many locks did Shamshu have? 7. What today? This is the 7th month. First day of the 7th month. It's the 5th feast though. It says, that they may know that you alone, whose name is Yahuwah, are the most high over all the earth. He said, that's how they're going to know. Right, this is Nazarene Exodus Shalakim, Basura, how good news gives power over demons. You see how it's important to acknowledge Yahuwah and the observance of divine obedience. What was divine obedience for all those people? He said, I'll give you the city. I'll give you these lands. I'll give you everything that desires of your heart. I delight to do thy will. He said, I ain't going to do a noof. I ain't going to shout for joy. I ain't going to do that. He said, okay. But guess what's going to happen to you if you don't do it? Which not only protects you, who believes from the assaults of demons, you're going to disturb Satan. That's why you're going to give a loud blast, a loud shout, a joyful shout. You're going to disturb Satan in yourself. But also gives them command over those who rule over others. You'll be able to put them in subjection with your loud shouts and your Taruah. And if therefore it is necessary for you, who are the going nation, to betake yourselves to Yahuwah and to keep yourself from all uncleanness, that the demons may be expelled and Yahuwah may dwell in you. He said all uncleanness. And at the same time, by prayers, commit yourself to Yahuwah and call for his aid against the impudent demons, for whatsoever things you ask, believing you will receive. I inquired of Yahuwah in his temple, and he heard my cry. 2 days I'm gonna tear it. 1 day I'm gonna tear it down, and 3 days I'm gonna build it back. I'm talking about the temple in my body. But even the demons, in the proportion that they see Amunah or faith, Amunah come by hearing, and hearing by the word, grow in man, woman, or child, in that proportion they depart from him. They can't stay, residing only in the part in which something of infidelity still remains, something inside. He said, I can't do all of it. He said, it's still something inside of you. But those who believe with full Amunah, they depart without any delay. They can't stay. He said, for when the Ruach has come to Amunah of Yahuwah, it obtains the virtue of the heavenly water, which extinguishes a demon like a spark of fire. He that believes on me, as the scripture said, out of his belly shall flow rivers of living water. They say 7 channels. This is Proverbs 3, 19 through 26. Yahuwah by wisdom founded the earth, and by understanding he established the Shamaims. By his knowledge the deeps broke open, and the clouds dropped down dew. My son and daughter, do not lose sight of these. Keep sound wisdom and discretion. What's the 5th feast? He said the birds fly. Let them fly. Let the sea creatures be born. The sea creatures, the tanim, and let them be fruitful and multiply. He said, don't lose sight of it. I made the Shamayim. I established the 7 Shamayim, the Shabai Shamayim. He said, what? And the deep broke open, and the clouds dropped down dew. All this happened in the beginning. My son and daughter, do not lose sight of these. Keep sound wisdom. That's sound wisdom. The beginning. And discretion. And they will be light to your soul, and adornment to your neck. They're going to be a yasha. Then you will walk in your way securely, and your foot will not stumble. If you lie down, you will not be afraid. When you lie down, your sleep will be sweet. Do not be afraid of sudden terror and ruin of the wicked when it comes. For Yahuwah will be your confidence and will keep your foot from being caught. He said he's going to keep you from being caught. Right? This is 1 Thessalonians 4, 13 through 17. But we do not want you to be uninformed, brothers and sisters, about those who are asleep, that you may not grieve as others do and have no hope. For since we believe that Yahushua died and rose again, we believe that his bride budded, his matah Parach, and he produced zizis, and he produced wings, and he rose from the grave, and he left. He said, why stand your gaze up in Shamayim? This same Yahushua, whom you see taken, will be come back in like manner. Let the birds fly. Let the oof. He had wings, like a bird, like an eagle. You believe he rose again? Because even so, through Yahushua Elohim will bring with him those who have fallen asleep. For this we declare to you by a word from Yahuwah, that we who are alive, who are left until the coming of the Master, will not precede those who are asleep, fallen asleep. For Yahuwah himself will descend from Shamayim with a cry of command. What did Yahushua say to the people? He said, don't you utter a word. Don't you say anything until I tell you to. When I tell you to Taruah, that's when you rule Taruah. He said, if you can't keep simple commands, ain't no way you're going to rise from the grave. He said, I can't even keep simple commands. He said, ain't no way you're going to get up. And he said he going to command with the voice of an Arch Malachi, or you mean a Kahan? What? And with the sound of a trumpet of Yahuwah, and the dead of Mashiach will rise first. They're going to rise first. Then we who are alive, who are left, will be caught up together with him to meet him in the clouds. How are you going to do that? Zitzits. You can have wings. Let the birds fly. Let the birds, the eagles, fly. He said, let the eagles fly. And let them multiply. He said, Rabbah. You're going to meet the master in the air. He said, the master who taught you how to fly. And so we will always be with the master. Therefore, encourage one another with these words. He said, you're always going to be flying. He said, Hebrews 9:28. So Mashiach, having offered once to bear the sins of many, will appear the second time, not to deal with sin, but to save those who are eagerly waiting. What are they waiting on him for? Waiting for him. What are they waiting on Yahushua for? This Yeshayahu, Isaiah 40:29-31. He gives power to the faint, and to them who have no might, he increases strength. Even the youths shall faint and be weary, and the young men shall utterly fall. But they that wait on Yahuwah shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings as eagles. As the harpy eagle, as the golden eagle, as the bald eagle, as the crown African eagle, as the Indonesian eagle, as the golden eagle. They're going to mount up with wings like eagles. They shall run and not be weary. They shall walk and not faint. He said, they ain't going to walk. Because he said, in all your assaults, walk. The second Enoch said, in all your adversity, walk. Matter of fact, in all your growth, walk. Praise Yahuwah in all circumstances, in every situation. Ruah Taruah, and disturb Satan. This is Aleph Yuchanan 2:24-29. Let what you heard from the beginning abide in you. This is the fifth feast, fifth day of creation. He said, you gotta let what you heard in the beginning abide in you. He made Adam in his own image. Matter of fact, he said, Aydah. Let them make wings at the four corners of their garments. If what you have heard from the beginning abides in you, then you too will abide in the Son, the life of the house, and the Father, the Ab and the Ben. And this is the promise he has made to us. To us. To who? Here are the Kodashim, the patience of the kind ones. Here are the patience of the kind ones. Those who keep the commandments of Yahuwah and the testimony and hold and belief in Yahushua Mashiach. Verse 29, I write these things about those who are trying to deceive you. Ruah Taruah. Who's trying to deceive you? Who's deceiving you a great gain? Satan. And we come to disturb Satan. This is what it's for. But the anointing that you are receiving from him abides in you. You have no need that any deceiver teach you. Satan don't need to teach you. But as his anointing teaches you about everything and it's true, and there's no lie, just as it taught you, abide in him. And now, little children, abide in him. So when he appears, what? So when he appears, we have confidence. And we will not shrink from him in shame. Because he said, all my enemies will be put to shame. But my Nazar crown will flourish. My locks, my hair that's black like a raven, it's going to flourish. And guess what? All my enemies are going to be put to shame. They're going to shrink back. Because he calls a horn, a karin, an elephant tusk, to semak, to bud, in Daud and David. If you know that he is righteous, Sadak, because there ain't no unrighteousness in him, you may be sure that everyone who practices righteousness, because this is our righteousness, we keep his commandments, has been born of him. What do you mean, born of him? You born of him. Let us make Adam in our own image and own likeness. Let him have the dominion of the fish of the sea, over the birds of the Shamayim, over the behemoth, and over the Ramees, and over all the earth. Then Yahuwah made Adam in his own image. In the image of Yahuwah, he made him righteous, Sadak, male, and female, Sadakah. You've surely been born of him. He said, let the birds fly. This is the fifth feast. And matter of fact, Afuf, Kanaf, put the wings on. Matter of fact, put them in the four corners. Matter of fact, Parach. For it is evident that our master sprang out of Yehuda. It is evident that he came out of Yehuda, which tribe Mashah spake nothing concerning priesthood. Absolutely nothing concerning priesthood. This Ode Shaloma, Odes of Solomon, 12, 1-7. Last thing. He has filled me with the words of truth, that I may proclaim him. And like the flowing waters, truth from my mouth and my lips declares its fruits. And he has caused his knowledge to abound in me because of my mouth, because the mouth of Yahuwah is the true word, and the door of his light. And the Most High has given him to his generations, which are the interpreters of his beauty, the narrators of his kabod, the confessors of his thoughts, the preachers of his mind, the teachers of his works. Great are the works of Yahuwah, studied by all those who delight in him. I delight in thy will, Yahuwah, for thy Torah is within my heart. Verse 5 says, for subtlety of the words are inexpressible, and like his expression, so also is his swiftness, and his acuteness for limitless is his path. He never falls, but remains standing, and no one cannot know his descent of his way. For as his works is, so is his expectation. What's the expectation of the Kadashim? To be in the Malkut, to take the kingdom. For he is the light in the dawning of thought. When did Joshua and the people go and blow walk around it 7 times and blow the Taruah? At the dawning of the morning. At the dawning of the morning. Because he said, Yahuwah is the dawning of your thoughts. Because it was all in their thoughts. At the dawning of the morning. When they came to the sepulchre and they said, why you seek the living among the dead? At the dawning of the morning. He said, he is not here. He already parah. Matter of fact, Kanaf Ruach. He already done left. He done flew out of here. On the wings of the wind. Right, so we look at all that. We look at Yahushua Mashiach. We look at Zikron Taruah. We look at sounding the Taruah. We look at sounding the loud blast. And having that understanding within. And to make loud shouts of joy to Yahuwah. At night, in the morning time, and in the evening time. All day. Right? Sounding the Taruah. Blowing the Taruah. Understanding what Taruah is. And there's a lot more. There's a whole bunch more. Right, when we look at this, and we look at, he said, budding forth. And bringing on, riding on the wings of the wind, and he said, waiting on Yahuwah, renewing ourselves like eagles. That we may fly. That we may understand, he said, they that are dead in Mashiach, they going to rise first. And those who are alive remain, how you say, they going to fly. Let the birds fly. Even as it was on the 5th day. Okay, let the birds fly. They're going to hear the voice of Yahushua Mashiach, and they're going to take up their wings, they're going to wait on him, and they're going to fly. Even as the Ezekiel said, the 4 corners of a garment. Even as an eagle, a harpy eagle, a golden eagle, a bald eagle. Even as the Indonesian eagle, or the crown African eagle. All the other eagles in the world that I did not even mention. For there are many others. But we look at ourselves, and we look at our understanding. And we look at being grabbed and being taken up by the claws of Yahushua Mashiach when he comes back, and be riding on the wings of the wind, and forever we will be with him. When we look at ourselves, we look at our inward man, we look at our inward being. When we look at ourselves, we look at our Taruah within, we look at the Taruah we hold in our hand, our right hand. And we look at all the things that we can do. He said, if you ever just put your trust in him and walk in the moon and delight to do his will, and he'll give you the desires of your heart. One thing you got to figure out is, what is the desires of your heart? For today is the day of salvation. Today is the day of salvation. Today is the day to inherit the earth, to be one of those who inherits the earth. For the meek shall inherit the earth. The meek shall inherit the earth.